up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey, it's too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
Nobody is coming to save you. Get up. Be your own hero.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind, coming to you live 250 miles above your imagination in the International Imagination Station. I'm up here with my good friend Something Wong from the Chinese Communist Party, here to make sure that I toe the party line and do not lead you astray into thinking for yourself. Wink, wink. Here we go. What a great night we've got going on here so far. I was over on Uncle Artie's Bar and Grill of Stupidity for a little bit just a few minutes ago. And before that, I was on the Truther Hour of Comedy. And that was an interesting show. We had Craig from Fight the Flat Earth was on there. And really having a tough time because he actually thinks he sees things go over the horizon, and I got him to actually admit he didn't see things go over the horizon. With merely an increase in the field of view, he would be able to bring the object that supposedly went over the horizon back into the horizon. I thought that was kind of interesting. I've got some little diagrams here that I want to show you all tonight regarding that field of view, your angle of your visual perspective, and how these things work together. We'll get into a little bit too how we've got what's called focal length too, because a lot of these long range photographs incorporate focal length, and basically what that is that you've zoomed in and you've focused to a point within that zoom. And so everything in the foreground of that is going to be out of focus, and everything out beyond that is going to be in focus. And one of the things that does is make things appear to be closer to one another than they actually are from this perspective here. When you do that and you're increasing that, you end up, things will look like they're right behind one another. Kind of the same angular resolution thing that you get with the sun, okay? Because the sun is very large and doesn't get far away from you enough in order for you to notice it, at least standing on Earth or any one of these perspectives on even in a building, to see much change in any angular size, but from high altitude photographs, I'm going to show you here in a little bit where it does change angular size. One of the photographs is taking a picture of the sun, and it's obviously in the air at night, and you can see the sun across the plane, lighting up a portion of it over there. So this is kind of some interesting stuff we want to get into. I want to take a look and see who all I've got going on in the chat here tonight. It looks like, what do we got? 36 people watching so far right now. Cool. We got Daniel Becker's here, Chicago Cubby Bear. Jehovah's lovely daughter Barbara, Forever Flowers is with us. Twilight Nights. Let's see who else. Chilling is here. Daniel Becker is here as well. Jake. Charles Arnold, Timmy Bob, Liam, I think probably the same guy. This guy's really got a crush on me. I'm flattered. FE Nation's with us. No Longer on the Ball is here with us. I also want to share some information that's out now on the True Earth Wiki that was given to me a little while ago by Joel. We're going to bring that up too. So we've got a lot of really good stuff in the works. I'm going to just ask real quick. Hold on. Okay, there's a TV playing in the front room and it's rather loud. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to fix that for you. Just hang tight for 1 second. I don't know what it is with these movies and shit these days. They make the music like, blasting at you and shit. And then the guys are talking and you're like, what's he saying? So you got to turn the shit up, and then they get to some music and it just blasts you through the fucking city, man. It just, wow. Enough of this crap anyway. Wow. So we say, hey, brother, I hope you're doing great. Cole Styles is with us. Good to see you. PayPal me. All right. So let me see here. Where am I going to go here to first? Where do I want to go to first? Oh, this is rather good. Ryan showed this on his program last night. I want to show it to you here. This is let me bring this up. No, start just automatically. God damn. So I'm going to bring this up. This is a world record photograph that was taken. Now, this guy wasn't out to prove flat earth or anything. He was just out to set a record for longest distance photograph. He'll tell you in his own words. This is only like 3 minutes, but this is pretty good. I think you'll dig. I think you'll dig. All right, check this out.
Show that you're watching right now is being filmed from 12.4 miles away, or about 20,000 meters, which makes this the longest, furthest recorded video ever. This is the 2-foot-long lens, which is going to make this possible. It's one of the longest and most efficient lenses, which can allow you to shoot extremely long distances. I have no idea why anyone would actually want to have this in real life. It is a 452 times zoom, which is, well, stupid. We're going to be able to see from one end of this extremely long desert road, which stretches for about 12 miles. I'm going to be standing all the way on the other end of that, and then we're going to have this camera fastened safe and sound right here at this little clear out here, far away from the road, but still aimed at the exact other end of it. As you can see from the final results, this is how it looks like to be filmed from 12 miles away. So I'm petitioning Guinness World Records. I'm looking right at you, Guinness, wherever you are, to basically allow me to gain this world record. Now, I'm going to explain to you how exactly I did that. This thing right here is an apparatus which is going to prevent too much sunlight from reaching into the lens, because, of course, when you have a 400 plus X zoom and you're filming something from nearly 13 miles away, it's going to be kind of catastrophic to the end result if too much sunlight is entering in there, it's going to overexpose extremely high. I really have no idea how it's going to turn out. So if you're seeing the video edited into this, that means it turned out actually good enough for me to make it into a YouTube video, of which you're now watching because you were bored enough to click it. I can only dearly hope that I'm actually standing in the right place to have myself filmed in, because the margin of error that I have in order to stand in the right place is equivalent to about 0.001 arc seconds. To put it simply, it's very, very narrow. The chances of me standing in the exact correct spot for you to see me is about the same chance of you getting a hole-in-one in Wii Sports Golf. And the chances of me looking directly at you right now is about the same chance as you getting a hole-in-one in Wii Sports Golf about 10 times in a row. And also, as a further note that I forgot to add into this while I was recording, this was actually a 10 times further of a zoom than what the lens can offer on its own by using an updated version of the normal Canon DSLR's camera software, which allowed me to zoom in up to 10 times the distance as well that was already there, which made it technically over a 4,000x zoom. Now, since we're here and I already traveled for about 45 minutes.
Now, I just want to point out real quick. Do you see how it's kind of wavy? And do you see how it's kind of cloudy looking? It's a beautiful, clear day. He's out there, but it's still at that distance. You have that measure of opacity. I'm also noticing he's doing this obviously in I think like a prairie or desert environment. I'm just looking at the plant life and it looks very much like where I lived in California. But we're seeing a waviness through the medium. Through the medium. The medium's the key, okay?
Get the point away from where the camera is currently filming me. I guess I might as well put into perspective the amount of distance that there is between me and you right now. I am about 20,000 meters away. So, as I said before, that's a very far distance. And it means even the speed of light is going to take 0.00001 seconds to reach your eyes.
Light don't have a speed.
So technically, I'm 0.0001 seconds delayed.
So I thought that's kind of interesting. I agree. They have to do it over water, but here's the problem over water too that we run into, of course, is now we're dealing with a greater amount of moisture in the air because we're right directly over water, which of course is going to cause an even more extreme differential in temperatures of the medium, and going across, looking over that, and it's not all the same at every point. It's different. Okay. So we end up with a lot of problems with that, but I agree. We just see too fucking far. You know, that's one of the things. And when I was on the thing earlier with Craig, he's trying to tell me, he says he was up 700 meters in a helicopter and watched a U.S. naval vessel go over the curve. And I said, well, wait a minute. If you went up to 1,000 meters, you'd be able to see the boat again. You'd be able to see the ship again. He goes, right. And I said, and if you went up to 1,500 meters, you'd be able to not only see the boat, you'd be able to see a horizon beyond the boat, right? And he says, well, yeah, but that's what we expect to see on the globe. I'm like, no, that's not what you expect to see on the globe, because that horizon didn't dip below you. It stayed right there relative to your eye level. The horizon is not at eye level. Okay? It's relative to eye level. There's like a little gap between what you see the horizon and what is absolutely level. We have to be very careful about it, because these fucking globe haters, or these flat earth haters, are so fucking pedantic. You know, it's like, no, it's not right at level. Look, it's right below it. I have a degree in my butthole. And it's like, fuck off, dude. Relative to eye level. That shuts them right down. Okay? Because I saw him trying to lead these guys into that trap on there, and he asked me, yes or no, does the eye rise up? Does the horizon rise to eye level? That says it rises relative to eye level. And he didn't like it. No, yes or no? I said, no, it's not. You're asking a question. You know, it's like, do you still beat your wife? Fuck off. I'm not doing it. Okay. So we had to, you know, that's, I mean, God, what are you talking about? You know, if the horizon's going to dip below you if you see anything. And he certainly didn't understand human eyesight perspective, I want to bring up some shit on that real quick. Let me see. Oh, there's so much here. Okay, just a second. All right, so here we go. I want to bring this up real quick. Okay, you've heard me talk about your field of view. This kind of incorporates your field of view and your angular resolution capabilities of the human eye all in kind of one diagram. So bear with it here for a minute. Okay, so here we have a plan view and a profile view of a person's head. And he's obviously looking forward in the direction of these little fans. Now, this biggest part of your field of view, right, is called your ocular perception vision. Okay, and it's at 220 degrees. That's pretty much where you get your peripheral vision. You see something, you don't really resolve anything, but you do see things off to the side in your peripheral, right? Then at this angle around here, this is where your entire binocular vision is incorporated. Now, this extends out. Of course, it doesn't just stop, but it goes up to, it's about 120 degrees. Now, you're able to really have color discrimination within this little area right here at 60 degrees. And then eventually symbolic recognition, text recognition. And I can't see what they've got right here. So that would like just shit right and totally in front of you. Now, see what you've got to look at right here, and you can see my cursor, is this is your field of view right here. Okay, there's this big gray circle. All right. And when you're looking ahead, right, this is what you're doing. And of course, the ground slopes up due to your perspective. It slopes up. Once it gets to this point over here, when it's level with where you're looking, you can't see the ground anymore. You're looking at the surface of it. But this up here above this, right up here, none of this is obstructed. So what you've got is you've actually been limited by the ground in your field of view. So if you can imagine looking in front of you, as be able to be in like a big circle right in front of you, and the horizon's rising up to your, just relative to your eye level right here. Now that's cutting off the bottom of that whole big circle of view. So anything beyond where that horizon's at is just going on straight. It kind of goes up and then straight as far as your perception is concerned. So consequently, anything moving away from you is going to disappear as it gets smaller from the bottom up, as it's obstructed more and more by the horizon, and then eventually goes into the horizon. It doesn't go over the horizon. Now, all I would have to do is increase altitude, and I could bring that object within limit because of angular size and, of course, atmospheric opacity. I could bring that object back into resolution. I can see it again. And if I go higher in elevation, I see more horizon, which is not consistent with the globe model, because as you rise in elevation, we don't see the horizon dropping down more and more and more. We don't see that. We see it remain consistently to the same ratio of where it is at eye level relative to eye level. So they're full of shit as far as that's concerned. Got another thing you brought up was the Antarctic Treaty, and here's the thing on the requirements. This is from the British government, right? So right here highlighted, and I'm going to bring it up. It says, crucially, the protocol prohibits commercial mining and protects vulnerable areas, animals, and plants. The Antarctic Treaty does not prevent tourists, military personnel, or scientific researchers from being present in Antarctica, but they do require an appropriate permit from a treaty party. Now, there's your problem. It's obtaining these permissions and the cost that's involved with getting these permissions. So They're full of shit. Now, this is another one we get hit with all the time is that, the sun never changes angular size. We never see it look different sizes at all. Well, not from the ground. It goes out of your sight before you can see that happen. But given a big enough field of view, we see, I thought I was sharing these with you. My bad. Hang on. All right. So we can see, oh, Lord, what's going on? Oh, shit. What the fuck? Right? What's going on there? See, if you've got a wide enough field of view, not obstructed in the downward direction, you can see it, and it gets smaller. So they're not possible on a globe. Oh no, there's another one. Oh my God, what's happening there? It's very, very far away and very small. How the fuck did that happen? Right? Oh, now it's real close and real big. Jiminy crickets. So you can see they're full of shit with this. Trying to find some other shit on here. So another big one that we've been on here for quite a while with is, of course, the prospect of the idea of having this pressure system that we're in without a container. And I found out why it is. And I can't believe that these people think this and that Wikipedia would actually state this. And I've known better for my entire life. I've known this. I've known that the atmospheric pressure is created by the displacement, not by the weight of air. But these idiots actually think that it's the weight of air, like there's air pushing down on you. Maybe that's why I couldn't wrap my mind around this fucking idea McToon had about a column of air. It's because it's like that's an alien concept to me that I'd never even entertained. Because does air really have weight? You have to contain a volume of it in order to weigh it. And if it actually has weight and is pushing down on you, then it stands to reason if I'm weighing something in a vacuum chamber and I remove that medium, I'm removing mass. I'm removing mass from inside of the chamber. The scale goes up. Well, how is that possible that I increase the weight by removing mass? Now their shit's out the window. Now what do we fucking do? Right? So we've got all these impossibilities of gravity pulling on gas, claiming that air has weight because they think air has mass. Well, not really. It has volume. Okay, but it can only be in a volume if it's contained. I mean, it's just the nature of gas. These particles whiz around in gas and collide, okay? And they don't give a shit about gravity or any direction or anything else. All they care about is equalizing. That's all they care about. And they'll do whatever they have to do it. And there's no like, oh, they have to reach escape velocity to get away from the Earth's gravity and shit. Get out of here. If it's not contained, it doesn't have any weight. So stop. That's not even possible. Column of air is an easy concept, but it explains what we measure. No, it doesn't at all. Otherwise, Charles, you would be able to show a downward vector to this force of air being pushed down or pulled down or whatever the fuck it is you think is occurring with it. It's not being pushed or pulled or any other such thing. It's behaving how gas behaves. That's all. Wow. You do know how a barometer works, right? You know how a barometer works, right? Come on. Play right. The sun was a grow light on a transparent string. I believe it. Well, there you go. It might be a grow light on it. We don't know what the sun is. You can. Can you demonstrate? Can you demonstrate air having a downward push, a downward pull, or that the pressure of the air is in a downward direction and it's not in every point on your body. You realize that when they say 14.7 pounds per square inch, that's not a pushing down force. That's the force on every square inch of your body in all directions, not in a downward way. Well, you failed then, brother. You failed. You absolutely failed. You took a meteorology class once, and I bet you they had to burn the fucking thing down to get you out of it too, right? They couldn't graduate you. So no, that's not how gas works. That's not how any of it works. If people would just understand the fundamentals, they wouldn't have such a problem. But they can't understand the fundamentals because they were fucking beat to death with this dumb shit their entire lives, and now you're trying to point out common sense, and this goes against, but they said I was smart for knowing this. Oh my God, now that means I'm not smart. No, what makes you smart is if you look at that and say, that's fucking impossible, man. You're gonna have to really demonstrate that bullshit to me, like I have. And they can't, and this is why they freak out, because it's like Tinkerbell. It requires everybody's belief in order for it to exist. Well, bullshit. I'm going to tell you how the trick's done. It's not hard. They've hijacked your visual perception and transposed it onto the earth. They've taken your angular perspective and they've taken that entire formula and transposed it to mean that the earth is curved. It's not. You have a limit of view. You're not Superman. Okay. In fact, your eyesight's really piss poor. You only see 0.006% of the entire fucking light spectrum. We're blind. We think we see it all. We don't. It's think different, man. You gotta think different. And get that goddamn gravity bug out of your head. You can't. There's no such damn thing as this dumbass gravity that they talk about. It ain't nothing more than buoyancy and density. It's nothing. It's just the reaction of an object within a given medium. That's it, man. It's going to decide what happens with it. Just like anywhere else, motion is what causes weight, says. As a measuring curve isn't the only reason we know we live on a globe. Oh, really, Charles? What other reason do you have that makes you know you live on a globe? There ain't a fucking thing that makes you know you live on a globe. There might be some shit that makes you think that you live on a globe, but you absolutely don't know you live on a globe at all. Because as I've pointed out, it's scientifically fucking impossible, right? There you go. Next question. How do you get water to convex? And don't tell me by having a great volume of it, because it's a fluid too. The molecules are not bonded together. The only mass you have of it is whatever's collected. That's all. And you have to have something to collect it in. It doesn't just fucking pool up on its own, except for finding the lowest point and remaining there until it can go lower. That's all it does, bro. Missing curvature is why we know we don't. Yeah, exactly. We don't. So let me get back to some of this stuff that I have here. It's pretty interesting. Did I show that one? I think this one's good. It's kind of along that same lines. I think you might be able to see it better. There's Harmon, man. What's up, brother?
I just got back from a flat Earth meetup.
Did I show that?
Let me get this other one off.
Yeah. Who's that in there with you?
Yeah, that was you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just got back to my flat Earth meetup in Vegas.
Oh, nice. How'd that go?
That's pretty good. About 20 people.
Where'd you have it at? Where'd you have it at?
Somewhere up north in Vegas. I can't remember. It's off Durango or something. It was at a brewery, a microbrewery.
So how'd you get? It couldn't have been too micro if you could fit into it. I mean,
I know, huh? 300-pound in my fat ass in there.
I could just picture that as a little brewery. It's real small. It's this big. They give you little mugs. It's a micro brew.
It's actually it more looks like a sports bar to me, but they call it microbrewery. So I don't drink, so I don't go in them much. Anyway, it was nice. There was one there were some people there. Oh, did you go to the meet up there in Vegas? I go, no. But they almost all went, and that's the first time they went. Of course, they lived there, so it was easy to go.
Right.
This one girl named, they go by Alexa. Did you meet her when you were there?
Maybe. I met
Kind of
so many people.
about 30s, blonde hair,
Probably.
tattoos, quite a bit of tattoos.
I probably
Right.
did.
All right. Well, I just think it's a ring a bell. There was a 22-year-old girl there today. Her name was Daisy, and she met her boyfriend there. So now she's hooked up with a boyfriend that she met at that thing. So her and they're living there, and so there's always good stories that they had met at that. What's that called? That conference you guys had? I can't remember the name of it.
Flattoberfest.
Yep. I just wanted to get on here. I just turned the computer on. I'll see who's on, and the headlines always comes up. And you want to hear the headlines? Surreal. Have you read the headlines on USA Today? It says surreal. April 24th, April 2024 total solar eclipse renews debunked flat Earth conspiracy theories. That's headlines.
No, for Christ's sake.
That's the headlines. Is it
That's
surreal?
bad.
April 2024 total solar eclipse renews debunked flat Earth conspiracy theories. And I was reading it, and it puts down flat Earth like you would not believe.
Sure. Of course, that's all they have.
They said we don't believe scientists, we don't believe governments, we don't believe diseases. They just put us right down the list. And they said, and everything is okay except for they could become extremists. And now they're labeling us in this article under extremists. That's under the USA Today today. If you type in the article in.
I'll go look at it here in just a second. This is pretty crazy. So this is another example of your field of view that I was talking about, right? So I'm going to make a red line real quick. No, I will get into that. I'm just going to finish up a point. Okay, so we know that from this guy's perspective that the horizon starts to do this, right? Okay. So if we now have to cut out that much of this arc until this gets to about 3 miles out, and then it's going to go straight. Then it's just going to go straight as far as our perspective is concerned. And that's why you see things go from the bottom up when they disappear. That's all I wanted to show. So you said it was USA Today? Let me see here. Let's see. I think I can get out of Facebook for now. Fuck that place. USA Today. There we go.
Hey, Sovereign and everyone.
Hey, what's going on, Jesse? Welcome. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to not look at you, or anything. Hang on one second. I got no longer on the call here. What is going on here, USA?
Good
Today?
evening.
What's going on, bro? So let's see. I guess they got a search option on here. Dude, shit. I'm looking for on USA Today. Maybe if I just go, there we go. USA Today, eclipse. Let's try that. Here's about the eclipse. Solar is 1 month away, April 8th. Here's everything you need to know about it. That was 2 days ago.
All you got to do is just go to Google search and type in surreal April 2024 total eclipse, total solar eclipse. I guarantee it'll come up. So type in surreal April 2024 total solar eclipse.
All right, hang on a second. Surreal. April
2024 total solar, and by that time it should come up.
I'm using Bing. I don't see it.
It just got put out about how long ago? It got put out about 4 hours ago.
Surreal. Okay, I got it. Found it.
Yeah, I thought you.
Right, hang on. Good old USA Today, huh?
That crazy title or what?
Let's see. It says the sun and the moon will perfectly align during the total solar eclipse on April the 8th to cast a narrow shadow of darkness on Earth in the middle of the day. A surreal event that has renewed debunked conspiracy theories that clash with proven scientific explanation. Well, let's see if they offer any of that up.
And they said
Experts.
scientifically proven.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Stinky Cash. I hadn't been seeing the chat. I was going through a directory looking for some shit. My bad, man. Experts say it's another example of how easily anti-science conspiracy theories can spread. Quote, I've already seen it more and more as we get closer to April 8th eclipse, said Jeffrey Blevins, a professor of journalism at the University of Cincinnati who studies social media and disinformation. Oh boy, I can only imagine. He gets to get a job as a fucking fact checker after he gets out of school, right? Don't forget to dye your hair blue. Oh my God. Blevins is among the experts who say the debunked flat earth conspiracy theory doesn't slow down when an eclipse happens, even though the event is precisely explained because of scientists' deep understanding of celestial bodies and their orbits. They don't.
Oh my gosh. That is so funny because all that is cyclic. Every 18 years and 2 months, the moon repeats its cycle. How hard is that to understand? That's kindergarten.
It's like, wait a minute. So this is I'm still waiting for the proof or the fucking debunking or any of that dumb shit or anything else. It's basically so far as don't listen to other people when they talk about the eclipse. Is basically what I've heard. There are a whole spectrum of conspiracy theories, some harmless or thoughtful. Others are based on a wholesome rejection of science, and still others are promoted for financial or political gain. Thinking the earth is flat is generally considered a more concerning conspiracy theory because it feeds into the paranoia and leads people to an unhealthy skepticism of all the science and credible authorities, said Blevins. They're not just primed to believe the earth is flat, they are primed to believe you can't trust science, academics, the media, or government, he said. And it might also lead you into other extreme views as plausible.
Calls us extremists. That's calling us an extremist.
God,
Sounds like standard propaganda.
Oh,
it
yeah,
does, man. So
they put Flat Earth right in the title. That's why I liked it.
What do flat earthers believe? In general, most flat earthers believe the earth is flat, hockey puck-like object covered by a dome, sometimes called the firmament, with walls of ice around the edges of the dome. They believe they can prove this because seas appear level, not curved, and say it is not possible
didn't see
to
that.
view the curvature of the horizon from airplanes. They also dispute photographic evidence from space, saying it cannot be trusted and that NASA moon landing was a hoax. Can you believe these fluffs?
Someone has
wow.
done their homework, though. I like that. They finally are they're at least coming at us with our arguments.
Right? Oh
That's
my
a
God.
first.
Is the accent help? Is the accent help?
Oh, it's awesome. You lost it a little bit. You were right first, but I think you went to, I don't know what you ended up in.
I don't know, man. It's hard to tell. I might end up Russian before it's over.
Are you Russian?
Oh, no, not at the moment. I'm not in a hurry.
Me either.
I'm only ever Russian when I'm in a hurry. I told my first girlfriend that. I said you have to forgive me for my ethnicity, man. I said I got Roman hands and Russian fingers.
Uh-oh. What'd she say?
She said she excused it, of course. Of course. What do you expect? So he says, doesn't a solar eclipse prove the Earth is round? Flat Earth supporters don't see it that way, although they offer no unified alternative theory. In general, flat Earth believers think the sun and the moon glide above the Earth at a much closer distance than astronomers had measured. Total eclipse explained in graphics. Oh, there's a picture. Oh, goody, a picture for me. Let's see. During the last U.S. solar eclipse, news site Mike.com cataloged numerous flat Earth objections to a scientific understanding of the eclipse, including the size of the shadow cast. More recently, a YouTube video promoting flat Earth ideas suggested the sun and moon are similar size. Can you believe that someone would think that just because you look in the sky and they seem to be the same size? Why would anybody go to that conclusion? It's obviously because one's further away and much bigger, and they just look that way. That's the most logical fucking answer, right?
This is amazing. This is the most, as far as I remember, I'm sure it might, but they're really coming at it. They know that this flat Earth's picking up again, and they're really trying to do damage control here. They really are.
Oh my God, yes, they are. Let's get ahead of it. Get ahead of it. But scientists have a comprehensive understanding. Scientists have a comprehensive understanding of how solar eclipses occur. They happen when three spheres, the sun, moon, and earth, line up in a specific way in space. According to NASA, solar eclipse happens when the moon passes between the sun and the earth. That line casts a moving shadow on the earth. But see, here's my problem, man. How does something cast a shadow smaller?
According to NASA, they're laying it on NASA now, not science. According to NASA.
Yeah, NASA. Fuck them guys, man. For real.
That's what they said in the article there. According to NASA.
Yeah. That's according to them. It's not saying that's what's really happening. They're just saying that's what NASA says is happening.
That's total. That means if you read it right, in NASA's opinion is what it's saying.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
In NASA's opinion, a solar eclipse happens. But the normal Globie or my family will read it and say, look, they know. You know, there it is.
The path is so narrow because of the huge distance and the size of the sun, as well as the moon's distance from Earth. Well, during a lunar eclipse, we're still dealing with the same light source, the same distances, and the same sized objects. None of these things have changed. So why, when I run the ratio, do I not? I come up with a shadow across the moon just a little bigger than 200 miles. I think it's like a 206-mile shadow going across an object that's supposedly 2,160 miles in diameter. But somehow the Earth's shadow casts big enough to cover the moon, but the moon's shadow casts much, much more small. What the fuck? None of that makes any sense.
Do you think that stuff that we see on the moon is a reflection of the Earth's actual like landmass? Because it somehow kind of looks like it's almost like the picture of our land is up on the moon.
There's some compelling arguments about it. There's some interesting work being done. Do I know this to be a fact? No, I don't. I don't know it to be a fact. I think it's rather interesting, and it cries for investigation. I think, and that's being done. You got to be really, really careful until we can determine things that are true, what we can actually prove, right? That's an interesting hypothesis. I like looking into it, and exploring those possibilities. But when it comes down to when we're just showing the basic impossibilities of what's been postulated, then we just can stick with what we can prove. And so far, their positive claim going against our observations and experiences is what requires the proof. And when you can dispel that, well, that's all it takes. And even as Richard Feynman says, if we have a theory and something dispels that theory, we have to throw it out. Well, time to throw that out.
I like that you're very proof orientated.
Yeah, you gotta be, because if you're gonna make, and that's as far as claims. Now, when it comes to theories and hypothesis, we can start to look into uh, alternate possibilities, because after all, we're spending a lot of time beating a dead horse, proving that it's not a globe. We already know it's not a globe. So we need to get into some science to figure out, okay, what exactly are we seeing? What is the sun really? What
Exactly.
is the moon really?
Debate
How
is
are
over.
these things working? You see?
Is that what you say? So the debate is over.
Right.
There's no.
Yeah. Yeah. As far
That's
as
what
I'm
you're saying. Next page. Turn the page. What was that song? Who sang that? Turn the page.
Oh, a couple people have now. A couple of people have sung that now. Metallica did it. It was originally Bob Seger.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've heard different versions of it. I play it, so yeah, that's a great song.
It really is.
Just you got some kind of banging noise coming through on your side, I
But
think.
I'll keep it on mute. It's just I've got a wind chime that's hanging from my mirror, and
Ah,
it just kind of calms me. So you're just kind of hearing that wind chime. But I'll keep muted. I just wanted to ask if you guys covered at all how this eclipse may be a sign from God to have forgiveness in your heart, because it goes over 8 cities named Nineveh. And I'm not sure if you know the story of Jonah and Nineveh in the Bible, but I'm wondering if this is just some kind of a sign about that Bible story.
Well, I
very
can shoot that
possible.
down right quick. There's no such thing as the boundaries in state. Those are all man-made things. It's just going over land. There's no states, no lines, no boundaries, unless you want to believe what man just made.
All right, let me. I brought up. I got something
You
really
understand what
good
I'm
here
saying?
that I want to bring up too.
Yeah, I just heard earlier, I think Jaron or Globebusters was talking about how an eclipse touched like 7 Salems
What's
or
that?
something like that. You know, the city Salem, Portland, or Salem in Oregon, Salem in wherever. There's like 7 of them. Anyway,
That's
that
funny
was
because it's man-made, right? Anyway, I was
yeah,
going to ask you, Mr. No Longer. Say your first name again. I forgot.
Joel.
All right, Joel Harm. You know mine.
Yeah.
Did you ever get Peter and Pete on your list?
Peter and Pete. No,
They've been around since 17 or 16.
let me.
They are amazing flat earthers.
Cool. I will look them up and put a tab right now. Let's see. Peter and Pete.
They're twin brothers.
Pete and Pete.
Peter and Pete.
That never got confusing, I'm sure.
Well, that's just their YouTube names.
Planet Earth, it's all in your head. Yeah, I found them. Okay, I'll subscribe to them right now, and I'll leave it open in a tab, and I'll add them.
They're amazing. I brought them up so much in the mainstream truthers, as I call it. They just won't look at them. The only one that did, I give him props, was Melodome. He says, well, thank you. You know, it's so hard to get content creators to look at other because they're so busy with their own stuff. They don't have time to go do the other, which I don't fault them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sometimes you miss some good stuff.
Yeah, it's hard. It is. I got people all the time sending me shit going, oh, look at this and look at this. There ain't enough hours in the day. You know?
Right. So I understand you guys.
It gets lost. Shit gets lost in the pile, you know, and then I'll run across it a long time later and I go, hey, why did I miss this fucking thing? You know?
Right. It's tough. It is tough for you guys. Content creator. I wrote a. I'll look it up in a second. I wrote a reply to the guy at 11T. I don't know if you ever heard of his channel. He's been around for. Go ahead. I'll get back with you. Go ahead. I'm looking it up right quick.
So, Joel, I brought up the thing you sent me earlier. This is a new edition you said on the True Earth Wiki. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So first of all, this website used to be up and circulating on the internet there. My wife found it years ago when she was looking up stuff about the beast 666, 6 times times 66 score, 3 score, or whatever, all this stuff, right? You know how it describes the number, right? And she was just kind of curious about the score part. So she started kind of Googling around or something and looking up to see what the score could mean, because if it's 3 score, what is score? 3 times what?
20. Score is 20.
Right. So, but also in the Roman system, it was different, the Roman score. But anyway, she found this website long ago, and then she was trying to show it to me, years ago, actually. And then the site was just gone. And so, and just recently she was talking about it again and some of the fascinating crap that was on that website. So I started looking around, and sure enough, I found the link to the website, and it pops up and says 404 not found. And so I kind of assembled the URL to it, and I put it in the Wayback Machine, and lo and behold, there's the entire website lost in the archives.
What was the date on it? Do you know?
Well, I think it was I know this guy's book, which was never published, came out in 2014, but I think his last update was 2022, and after that was just gone. So I scraped it, the entire thing. Took me 3 days to scrape this whole thing, because it's not only it's the text, but it's also the images. And so I wrote here, the information was taken from a long lost website. Its content has so many fascinating theories that it'd be a shame to have it lost forever. So
and now it's hooked up to your TrueWiki?
Yeah. So if you're on there and you go under miscellaneous, there's a link called Greenland Theory.
I'm seeing
this
the
is
picture right here,
something else. So I have some disclaimers here. This is viewer discretion advised. It's got some stuff that would probably get maybe even a YouTube strike. So we won't go into all of it.
I know another disclaimer you should put in there, all your things.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet verified by Harmon.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. So this is basically the index to their that website, and I just have all of those pages built, including their the text, the original text, and the images that were on that website.
You did that in 1 day or 2 days?
Oh, 3 days.
Oh, I was gonna say that's a lot of work, isn't it, Saul?
It looks like it, man. Jesus.
Well, thanks. That's in the Wayback Machine. You found it. What about how about the Internet Archive? Do you ever use that?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that site.
I've been donating to that for 7 years, $5 a month. How do you not, right?
Yes. Oh man, that's just a beautiful place.
Do you know that one, Sovereign?
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention for a second. I was just trying to get this thing.
That's okay.
I sent it to my son. Can you
what did I call it? I just forgot there, Joel. What was
archive.
It? Yeah, archive. Internet Archive.
Oh, yeah. Internet Archive, yeah.
God,
yeah, so this thing is, it's detailed. This website is basically this section is an entire website of stuff. And it's very, very detailed. There are days of reading.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Go back to this. I want to see those pillars right there. Yeah, Greco-Roman obelisk, 27 Rococo. What did it say there?
Oh, that's just a picture. Yeah.
No, I didn't want to see the picture. I wanted to see the words where they were at.
Just hit back, so.
You have to hit. Is it? Yeah. What does it say right there?
A total of 227 Greco-Roman obelisks have been identified around the world thus far, the famous of which are the Cleopatra's Needle, the Vatican Plaza, and the Washington Monument. And the first Greco-Roman obelisk-like structures were called triumph columns, whose historic origins are noted around 113 AD. Naturally, the former Roman imperial capitals of Rome / Babylon and the Istanbul are home to the majority of these columns. The
triumphant column. It says the triumphant column. Is the triumphant columns the middle one, or is it all of them?
Well, I think he's kind of showing a sword there in the middle.
Yeah, I think isn't that in the middle? Is that the triumphant one?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So
They're
the
often
term,
used. They're often used as gnomons as well, too,
What's
for
that?
sundial type application.
Noma. What's a
yes,
Noma?
sun pillars. Yeah, sun
Mhm.
pillars worship altars
I
to
never
the
heard of
sun
that.
god.
Yeah, where the sun is just like with a sundial, the direction that the shadow is cast, they could mark time and season by the direction of the shadows. It's called a gnomon.
Hmm. And I've heard they're also considered to be
Mhm.
phalluses.
That's what I thought the Washington one was, right? No, because
Yeah,
it has the retaining pool, this, and that's the womb. Am I wrong?
right. And then the shadow at a certain time of day, it casts a shadow over the opening of the White House or something, which
Right.
is
Oh, I didn't know.
But
What I
no,
heard.
the
Apple,
vulva.
the
What was
dome
that?
is a feminine. The dome is feminine. This is a
Mhm.
masculine. And what you see is that those two meet in the reflecting.
Oh, in the reflecting pool.
Hmm.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
What
That's
the
what
whole
I heard.
thing is about.
It was the reflection of the whatever that fallacy that the pillar is goes right into the
Obelisk.
reflecting pool. Does it? Is it that way all the time or at certain times?
No, it's always in the reflecting pool. It's just going to be a reflection. It's like a mirror. It doesn't change your reflection by the time of
Just
day.
the angle.
But
And
the shadow apparently lines up with the
Yeah.
entrance of the White House.
the White House, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I
So
it's,
did not know.
another thing too is if you look at an aerial view of it, it's coming up right through the middle of what we call a vesica piscis. And a
What's that?
vesica piscis is when you have two circles that intersect and they make that little oval in the middle. It's a vajayjay, basically, is what you got
Oh,
going
okay.
on. And it's coming right up out of the middle of that. Look at the way they've got the walkways cut. It forms a vesica piscis, and the phallus is coming right up
Well,
through
that's
the.
definitely not an accident.
No. It's definitely sacred geometry, 100%.
Hey, thank
yeah.
you, Joel, for putting Peter and Pete in your mix there.
Yeah. Yep, no problem. Thank you for letting me know. So this guy thinks the obelisks were essentially meant the Babylon kill system, as in the obelisk marked the graves of millions who have been killed by the Babylon system. So who knows? But it's interesting there he talks about the Twin Towers. There's 111 Twin Towers across the world.
Oh, are they
And
really?
And the 11 is what they're known by, which is kind of ironic about 9/11, right?
Which in itself numerically is pillars.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when I get about dates like that and 9/11 and stuff like that, I like you guys already learned me now. I like going back to nature. In nature, that wouldn't be 9/11. So they can manipulate because they've manipulated the date, so they can make it 9/11 for them, for their numbers, because they've made the numbers up, and so they can manipulate to do that. Is that what you think or not?
Yeah, definitely.
We'll symbolically take a look at a Roman numeral 9 and then a Roman numeral 11 right next to each other. And if you look at it correctly, you will see the Masonic compass and square made by the two X's.
So you
With
say
a
by looking at
pillar.
it correctly, does that mean I got to stand on my head and turn it sideways or something? No,
No, and then it's got a pillar on either side of it. Because Roman numeral 9, it's IXXI is 9/11. Okay, and when you see those two X's where they come together, that's your Masonic pyramid. Yeah, right. And then there's a pillar on either side of it.
That is definitely interesting.
So this whole section is just full of fascinating gravy. I mean, it would literally will take days to go through it all, honestly.
Right. Okay, Joe, when you first came on, you said Jaron and them talked about it going through 7 cities named Salem, right?
Yeah.
Well, we know that the moon's on the 18-year, 2-week cycle. It's going to repeat no matter what. So what it goes through is people just built it on that. I mean, 18 years and 2 weeks ago, this same eclipse happened. Wrong or right?
Probably, yeah, for sure.
Well, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Now, just on an interesting side note about Crete, Crete was actually 2 islands. One was Procrete, the other one was Concrete. And of course, life on concrete was rather hard.
Oh,
I knew because it wasn't making sense. I knew it had a punchline.
It's a
might
dad
have,
joke.
yeah, might
Hey,
have been
you know, some of your
Rhodes.
jokes require courtesy laugh, Sovereign. I'll give you a courtesy laugh.
The
At least I'll give
island
you
of
one.
Rhodes. Apparently, the island of Rhodes was part of that Crete, and it was almost like they, according to this article, that they actually man-made sawed it off to make it a separate island. So Rhodes Island, as in all roads
When you're
lead to
doing
Rome.
these things and putting them up, Joe,
Yeah,
right? Joe, when you're putting things up like this, I'm picturing now. The way you're talking is. You ever try to move and downsize and stuff like that, and you end up looking through pictures, and you'll spend 4 hours looking through old stuff before you realize you're not doing anything? So when you're posting this, do you get caught reading it as you post it, or how's it work?
I get caught reading it once in a while as I'm building it.
Yeah.
I find that building an article up is just fascinating because you kind of get some bare minimums, and you start kind of copying, pasting, and just rewording a little bit, here and there to make sure you get lots of perspectives out there on the internet. Anything but the mainstream narrative, and you end up eventually finding some just fascinating stuff out there about any topic practically.
I'll tell you
It's
what,
it's a
looks
that
rabbit
is
hole.
so cool.
that is really good. So, anybody, yeah, there's the link to it. I'll put it. Let me see. Do I have the thing open? No, I'm going to pull up my studio here real quick, and I'm going to put this in the pin in the thing.
Yeah, you
in
got
the-
it here. I've saved it again. I always save everything from Joel. I like you. I'm surprised. I just can't believe I forgot.
Probably not going to be a clickable link because YouTube hates me, but you can
Yeah, I
copy
did.
it.
I clicked it. I got it.
The one I just put in the description of the video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they like to fuck with me. I don't know.
Well, the Sovereign, you just put in one for the wiki. I clicked on it. It came right through.
Yeah, that's in the chat.
Oh,
Harmon.
okay.
You're talking
Which
about
one you
in the description on the video. I just put it in the description of the video. But
Oh,
you'll have
okay.
to copy it. You'll have to copy and paste it.
I know.
Yeah. But
There's
yeah,
definitely having problems over there, man.
but if
That's
you
very
guys
nice,
want
Joel.
to, if you guys want to look into that website, it'll keep you busy for a few days, and some of you content creators out there will probably be able to come up with multiple streams if you wanted to cover that information. There's things like, it talks about Babylon, the different cults of Rome, the fall of Rome. In this article, they basically say it was faked so that they could continue on and do their stuff from Greenland, and that's where the Greenland theory comes from. He talks about how, the days of the week, the months of the year, what the symbology is of, Mars and, all that stuff. The holidays, how the English language came about, like what are the meanings for the letters of the alphabet and the numerical systems, all of the gods like Isis and Zeus, Jesus, Isis. Oh boy, there's going to be a lot of triggered people in here. I was triggered by this stuff, to be honest with you.
You were triggered.
But I
You're
tell you
funny.
what, you read this stuff and it'll either trigger you or it'll if it was like me, I've been hearing bits and pieces of this stuff already. When I'm just reading it again in this articles here, I was just dropping my jaw.
Yeah.
And I'm under the impression that this stuff I wouldn't be surprised if it were true. That's what I think about it. I'm not saying it's true, but I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if it were. The amount of this stuff in here. Now, the only thing I don't like about this Greenland theory stuff is he kind of goes into the shape of the Earth. He thinks of it as the shape of a flying saucer, which I think is kind of nonsense. But Whatever. I left it in there all intact. But you get into this Roman stuff and all of this, how all this stuff comes together. It talks about how it's used in mainstream media, Catholicism, Christianity. There's some stuff to get triggered on.
Oh yeah, well, this is what you find. This
Yes.
happens with beliefs. Okay,
Yeah.
that's why I like to stick to, exploring theories is one thing, but when you stick to what you can act, what can be tested, what can be proven, then you have to leave your mind open. See, and if something that can be tested or proven goes against the type of a belief system, or somebody comes up with a concept that goes against what you've been believing, it's of course it's going to, and this is just it's going to trigger you because it's a response to the fact that that there's weaknesses in your position.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
The
basically all it
defenses
is.
are coming down.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it is. And I've gotten over the years here less triggered all the time because
Yeah.
it just doesn't. Yeah, exactly. You have a weak position if you're triggered, and
That is awesome.
my position, my open-mindedness.
Got to.
Yeah.
It's like, I was on a thing with Craig on the Truthers Hour of Comedy earlier, and it's like I start to explain something and he's got to jump in and start fucking interrupting and all this shit, and I'm just like, okay, never mind. He can't just answer a question. He's got to go on and on. I'm asking him a simple yes or no question, and he can't fucking stick to that. So I just sit back and I'm like, what the fuck ever. Let him go. Whatever. Just go. Go ahead.
Do
and
you
say
realize
your
that
shit.
poor guy's gonna die when the flat earthers leave him alone completely? Just say we don't want nothing to do with it anymore. He has no life without us. Zero. Am I wrong?
No. I don't know why these guys are doing it, man. I really don't.
I'm just saying the guy will have no life when he's gone. When we're gone.
No, probably not. Probably not. I mean, some of the shit that he says out there, I mean, it's just like, it's objectively, provably false shit, and it's easily demonstrated. I'm going to do that Tuesday. I mean, it's just like, no, what you're postulating is physically fucking impossible, and I'm going to show you why. And that's all there is to it. I don't have to prove anything. All I have to do is show that your ideas are horse shit. And as Richard Feynman says, if a theory is proven incorrect, we have to shit can it. What did they do that when it came to this gravity bullshit? No. They couldn't say, oh, we're wrong about it. No, there must be dark matter out there and shit, because we couldn't possibly be fucking wrong. It's like, good God, man, if you got to go to that extent to make your shit true, you ought to be embarrassed for yourself.
Yeah,
Really.
Yeah. And things don't really
So-
orbit. The space bends.
So, what do you know about the energy that people can collect from the ether? All the metal rods that used to be on buildings with balls that were filled with mercury, and then the mercury inside those balls just spun around, and it was able to have energy for the actual building that this metal rod was on. Have you heard about that, or do you know about that at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Just little pieces of the puzzle. Basically, I know that what you're suggesting, mercury, and I think probably red mercury more aptly, but the reaction that mercury has in proximity or in contact with a noble metal will actually increase an electrical current. The whole allegory of St. Christopher is exactly an alchemic encoded information exactly on that. It really is.
I never knew they were supposedly turned. I didn't know they turn. Is that Jess? Is that common knowledge?
The ball doesn't turn. The mercury inside whirls like a vortex.
Jess, did you say the ball turned or the mercury inside turned?
The mercury inside the ball will be spinning around. So the ball is the container with mercury inside of it. And then somehow the ether, makes whatever energy comes from the ether, makes the balls, the mercury spin around inside of the ball.
I did not know that.
Mercury will definitely increase a current.
I had no
Mercury
idea.
increases a current. And like I said, the whole allegory of Saint Christopher is about that, and especially when in
What?
contact with. I'm sorry.
What is it? Tell me what it is. What's the Saint Christopher? I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so the
On the
story
Saint
of Saint Christopher, the allegory, I'll give it to you kind of in a nutshell. And I believe his name was Orpheus. Originally, he was dubbed the name Saint Christopher upon sainthood. Christopher means the one who bears Christ. Anyway, the story was he was a simple-minded giant, and he was wanted to be in service of the most powerful man. And so he was in service of the king. And one day a bard was singing a song, and the song mentioned the devil, and he saw the king make, kind of a frightened gesture. And he says, why do you have a frightened gesture at the sound of the devil? He says, because I fear the devil. And Orpheus concluded that, well, since you fear the devil, that means you're not the most powerful. I'm going to go off and follow the devil. So he did, and he went along with him, and they were doing their shit and whatever, and he's serving the most powerful, or so he thought. And one day riding along, they came to a cross, and the devil stopped and turned around and went the other direction. And he says, why do you fear that cross? And he goes, because that represents the Christ, and I fear the Christ. And he says, well, then that means you're not the most powerful. I want to serve the Christ. And so he searched the land over and over looking for the Christ and never found him. And he came one night to an old man's door, and the old man opened the door, and he told him that he was looking for the Christ. Well, this guy realized that Orpheus was actually kind of simple-minded. And so he told him, he says, there are people down here by the river that wish to cross the river, and you would be of great help carrying these people across the river with your big size and everything, right? And your strength. And he says, and then I'll find the Christ. And he says, you will, figuring that through his good deeds, he would understand that he was being Christ-like. One night, a knock came to Orpheus's door, and it was a very small child. And the little small child pleaded with him to take him across the river because the current was too strong. And Orpheus picked up the child and started to cross the river. And he got about halfway across the river, and the river started raging. And just the current increased so swiftly that even Orpheus had trouble standing on his feet. He was almost swept away. And the child became more and more heavy as he got deeper into the water. And finally, he made it to the other side. And he said, why are you so heavy, child? And he said, because you bear the Christ. You bear the weight of the world on your shoulders. All right, now the allegory is this. Gold is represented by the sun. The Christ is represented by the sun. Okay, this is alchemic.
Okay.
Saint Christopher is always depicted in gray clothing with a vermilion sash. Now, vermilion is very important because vermilion comes from red mercury, basically the cinnabar, the ore that they get mercury from. They don't even use it anymore in paints because they say it's radioactive, it's dangerous, all this other shit, right?
Okay.
But in any case, that's what they used, and he's depicted that way. So what it was showing is that when the gold is in close proximity or carried by the mercury, the current becomes much stronger and the gold increases in weight.
So this ties into the mercury inside the ball?
Right. An iron ball, because iron is the only metal that mercury will not amalgamate with. So to keep it in proximity of gold, but not in contact with the gold, you use a gold-plated iron ball.
Oh, see what you started, Jesse? I learned so much by that question. You're awesome.
I love that. I think that the reason why I asked that is that if we really want to fuck up the system, we need to figure out this free energy, because that's one thing that keeps us enslaved. And so if all of us researchers are out there, start focusing a lot on this energy, freeing energy, figuring this shit out, that will really cause waves and rattle these cages.
They'll come kill you and then say you were a David Koresh type. That's exactly what will happen and has happened several times in the past. Guy that came up with an engine, right? Run on water. Oh my God, mass shooting in the store in Florida. He happens to be one of the victims. Really? Wow. Isn't that surprising? I
Oh
mean,
man,
all
isn't
these
it
guys.
amazing?
John Hutchinson, he had the government came in, raided his house, took all of his equipment. He was working with electromagnetism and frequencies and shit. They took all of his shit. Took
What
him
was
to
his
court,
name?
all kinds of crap, man.
What was his name?
John Hutchinson. Have you ever heard of the Hutchinson's effect?
No.
Yeah.
It's really quite interesting. This guy's been able to use electromagnetic frequency and cause wood to fuse with aluminum. No heat involved whatsoever.
Isn't that amazing?
No,
That
the
is
other
something.
one is magnets. Magnets are able to spin shit on perpetual motion in order to get that free energy as well. And again, for one, I'm not afraid of them. And two, if we all start, really putting our minds and energy towards making this free energy happen, it's not just one person, it's 1,000, it's 100,000. Are they going to come chase down 100,000 people, 1,000,000 people that are doing it? I think that that's what can really free us from these shackles is free energy.
Strength in numbers, bro. You're right. Absolutely.
You think that could
But,
happen?
what's that?
I'm such a doubting Thomas. I don't think it could happen. I don't think it
it
could happen.
I think it could.
Am I
Absolutely.
talking good now? Can you hear me better?
Yeah, we hear you all right.
They made me get this mic.
Absolutely.
I had this for a year in a box, and so last week everybody's complaining my little camera mic. So I had to finally, after 1 year, pull this Yeti out of the box. Does it sound better?
Much better.
Oh, yeah. So now you can hear me, huh? That's bad. That's not a good thing.
So yeah, the idea that there's a lot to that. Take for instance Coral Castle in Homestead, Florida. Ed Leedskillinen. This guy was a Latvian immigrant, came over here and built this thing by hand alone.
Yeah, the castle thing.
Yeah,
alone. Yeah, I've seen that years ago. It's amazing, huh?
And look at all the references to Mercury in that Coral Castle.
What year was that built? I know I've seen it like 10 years ago. So what year was it built? Do you know?
Back in like the 30s or 40s.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. The dude, he built it for this woman he loved over in Latvia, so that hoping she'd come over and marry him, but she never did, and she married some other guy. But everybody thinks,
so it's just another brick in the wall, huh?
What's with all these moons? Well, dude, those aren't moons. Those are a symbol for Mercury. That's one of the keys. Have you ever seen the symbol for Mercury? It's a crescent moon and a cross.
I did not know that either.
Kind of like on the top of these domes that they call mosques, right? That's a symbol for Mercury. That isn't a symbol of Islam since it only became that in the 50s.
Right. I'm wondering if they're.
Go ahead, Jess.
I'm just wondering if Mercury maybe is not as dangerous as they're saying, and they're not wanting us to know about or use Mercury because of its powerful effects, just like lead. They're saying lead paint was, bad, but if we all had lead paint on our houses, it would be protecting us from all the electromagnetic frequencies they've been bombarding us with. And I think that's one of the reasons why they needed to get rid of lead paint.
Yep. Exactly. 100%, Jess. You nailed it. Listen, I play with Mercury all the time. I have some. I play with it. I used to play with it as a kid. Put it back in a little bottle. It doesn't hurt you. Here's the thing. Any overabundance of metal in your system is going to cause problems. Mercury vapor can be harmful, but you have to breathe a lot of it, right? So the thing is that
and I think they don't want it to be heated, doesn't it?
Yeah. So the whole thing, well, still a little bit comes off of it regardless. but it dissipates into the air and it's not harmful. I mean, if you breathe concentrated amounts of it, yeah, it could be really bad. But listen, they want you to be afraid of it. Okay, now putting any amount of large amounts of metals into your body is bad. Not putting enough into your bodies is bad. Okay, we take metals in all the time. Sodium chloride, we call it salt, right? We take in these metals that help our electrical system, but in overabundance, we sell iron over the counter. But if you take too much of it, it'll kill you. Okay, you'll have problems. Your body will react. You take too much iron, you'll start getting fucking constipated and shit. Right? So
I gotta go, guys.
All right, later, Harvey.
All right, take care, brother.
When you
Nice
have
seeing
any
you, Harmon.
overabundance of shit, it's going to hurt you. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. It's the duality of everything. Like water, it's essential, right? You drink it, waters the plants, makes things grow, but also it destroys, it kills, right? Air does the same thing. We need it to breathe, we need it to exist, but it can also kill. We get tornadoes and we get hurricanes and shit like that as a result of air moving very quickly, destroying and killing things. So everything has its duality. Fire, it heats our homes, it cooks our food, it does all these beneficial things to it for us, but it also destroys and kills. So there's a dualistic nature to everything. And it gets like that with mercury. I'm not saying sit there and eat a bunch of fucking mercury, but if you get around some or you mess with some, it's not going to fucking kill you. And it's not going to
Don't
absorb
snort it.
through your skin. That's ridiculous.
Don't snort it, is what you're saying.
No, but a lot of very beneficial Chinese medicines incorporate mercury in the ingredients.
And I've also been hearing about the water, putting a negative charge to water will actually help hydrate us better than the water that's, that we actually have. Something about the negative charge will help with hydration.
Possible. I don't know. I haven't looked into that. But that's interesting information. I'd want to know more about that. I know that by memory or water is more than what they tell us. We know it incorporates memory. We know it'll harbor vibration. And we've seen various tests done with this. And I think this is where the concept of blessed water or holy water originated from in the first place. There's some certain purposely set up steps for water to flow down. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it might be at Versailles. I could be mistaken, but they're set so that the water hits different frequencies due to the amount of drop that it has at each one of these steps in order to make the water more bountiful or beneficial. And, there was a purpose put to that. So we know that water is integral for that aspect of it too, carrying memory, vibration, sound. Holy shit, whales. How far can whales communicate? Hundreds of miles.
Yeah,
underwater. That's
4,000
amazing.
miles or something.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they have different dialects. They've gotten to where listening to them, you can tell the Japanese whales because they have a dialect from North American whales and shit. There's a different dialect to their language. And they also, what they get back, they see in pictures, they see it cymatically in their brains. It's not so much they're hearing it, but what they get back registers as a cymatic image in their mind.
That's why all that stuff that they're doing with the military testing and bombing in the oceans and shit really pisses me off, because it fucks up all the marine life sonar, and they can actually feel those vibrations, and they're really harming everything that's in the ocean.
I know. I don't know why we are always looking for ways to kill each other. What is it that we're striving for? We hear this all the time. We have these elections and shit. And what do these clowns always say? We're going to make progress. Okay, so when have we progressed to where we need to be? That's what I first want to know. And why the fuck is everybody wanting to change everything all the time? Oh, we're going to go for change. It's never been good enough because every politician is going to want to change everything. And it's real simple. Nobody wants to live in the same way. So stop trying to make everybody live in the same way. I mean, it's just an endless struggle. It's never going to come to fruition.
And their war on everything seems to fuck everything up and cost more money for everyone. It just seems like it's an endless cash grab on anything that they try to control or try to fix.
Yep. It's sickening, man. It's absolutely fucking sickening to me. And the extremes of horror that we will commit upon each other tells me that there is a malevolent spirit behind all of it. I mean, how is it in any rational human's mind to do the things to other men that we do? That's not another man. That's some kind of a fucking monster.
I think a lot of it happens because of the God that people believe in. And if people believe in a homicidal, maniacal God that will do genocide and kill babies and have that justified, then people emulate the God that they believe in and think that that shit is okay. And it's not. That's the wrong God. That's not even God. That's the wrong spirit.
It's Godriel. Okay. God is not a name. God's a title. Okay. God is short for Godriel. Godriel was who fucking swayed Eve to sin in the first fucking place. That was the name when you go into it. All right. There's a whole bunch, and it's also the same as Baal. It's the same entity as Baal. No, Globe Earther Bob, I'm sorry, you're not coming up here until you show your camera and show that you're a human being. Okay. No, I'm not doing it this time. I want to see what the fuck a guy like you actually looks like. Okay. That's the only way you're coming up on panel is if you have a camera on your face. All right. So Globe Earther Bob just showed up back in the backstage and he's kind of a dick. So not until he shows his camera will he be allowed to come up on the fucking panel. So that's how that's going to roll. But yeah, I mean, who wants to do that kind of thing? That's horrific. That's why these guys come back from these wars so fucked up in the head. They go in there with a Hollywood John Wayne idea of what's going to go on, and they come back with some kind of Andy Warhol acid trip fucking nightmare.
Yeah, man. It's not only that they're injected by all this fucked up shit. It's like the pincushion, these military people for the pharmaceutical industry, and then the horrors that they see. And they say it's for like God, we're protecting. It's gold, oil, and drugs is the whole reason why all these fucked up wars happen.
Well, yeah, and it's also a sacrifice to their God. Okay, it's a sacrifice to their God, a blood sacrifice, as well as a culling. But you think about it, who's the most of the casualties in any war is always the firstborn sons, right? And it's just a big blood ritual. I mean, when you realize, like I have, and I believe like Joel has, and I think you have too, Jesse, that this illusion of international sovereignty, that all these different farms are actually independent, that we're actually these different teams and shit, when in reality, they're not. It's no different than when you were in elementary school, right? You had maybe 4 elementary schools in your whole district, for instance, right? And the kids at this school think that they're told that they're the brightest and the smartest of all the elementary schools in the whole district. Each one of them believe that. And they have even their sports teams with their little mascots. And yay, we're from, such and such elementary. And we're the best. We're the Bobcats. And we're the Bears over here. No, we're the best and everything, right? And they get divided up into this whole thing, each one of them believing that, so much so that if they end up having to go to another one of the schools, they feel like they've been outcast, and they're upset and they feel bad. They've been exiled from their little nation, so to speak, right? So we carry this over, the same thing. And what they don't realize is they're all just 4 identical little shitty schools in the same little shitty school district. None of them are better. It's only in your fucking mind. Do each of these schools have independent government? No, not at all. They might have slightly different policies and rules based on what the principal deems appropriate for their school. But overall, they're all run by the district, who's going to set down policy guidelines that they have to go by. So consequently, is the world exactly that same way? But here we are being the Bobcats thinking we're number one. And here's somebody over here across the ocean. They're the Bears and they think they're number fucking one. And it's easy enough to get you into, well, did you hear what those Bobcats said about us? I'll be goddamn. They came up and spray painted so-and-so's car. Well, we're going to get them back. And there it is. There's how your war starts. There it is, man. And it's all based on what's in your fucking head. Governo mentis, man. Control of the mind.
And who goes and fights those wars? All of the strong men that they need to sacrifice that would stand up to the tyranny. So they go and inject them, get them killed, because that's the ones who can actually stop all this bullshit. So they program them to go fight for the bullshit and then not be able to stand up to it.
Mm-hmm. I came to that realization. I was, for part of my tour in Germany, I was in Fulda, which was right on the east-west German border. In fact, that was the most likely place that if the Soviet Union decided to invade into the West, that was probably where all the tanks were going to come through. The East Germans had a tower every 1,000 meters with an electrified fence, a minefield through no man's land, and even mines in the fence. And I had to patrol a certain portion of this all the time. And I would see this East German guy going down doing his patrol over on the other side. And I got to thinking to myself, I was like, that guy's just like me, right? And if some jackass blows the whistle, he's got to turn his gun on me. I got to turn my gun on him. What sense does that make? None whatsoever, because we got to the point where even though we weren't supposed to, we get down in kind of a low area, we wave at each other and say, hey, what's up? We could see each other. We'd be maybe only 20 yards away from each other, at some points of that border, which followed some old Norman Saxon border that was set up. Even the old stones are still there, or were at the time. But I got to thinking, I was like, that's just fucking retarded. Some ass clown in Washington, D.C. decides that this guy called him a pig and he don't like it, or whatever the case. I'm supposed to turn my gun on that guy and try to kill him? That's just the dumbest shit in the world, man. And a place where there's already conflict going on and you put a guy in there, now it just comes to a thing where the only thing he's really fighting for is to keep himself alive. And the other guy too. So it just becomes a big barbaric bunch of shit. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. What do you think, Joel? We lost Joel. He's blessed.
Sorry, I was just getting that queued up.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let that ass clown come up here. And just with his stupid shit and his little fucking gay giggle and all that other dumb shit. I'm not down for that. I don't need that. We've had enough, Timmy.
Yeah.
And he's too much of a coward to show what he looks like, That just tells me right there that he's just on here acting like a clown. He don't want nobody to know who he is. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Yeah, man. These guys.
They at least the only thing you can say that's positive about them is that they make a lot of flat earthers. because
Oh,
the way they
yeah.
are. Mhm.
Yeah, let's see. Ben Thorpe, the statist slave. What is this? So, on this, Ben Thorpe, the statist slave you destroyed and debate, just got arrested for domestic violence against his daughter. No shit. Which are you talking about? You talking about that guy that specializes in the chemtrail? Oh no, the guy that was with all the court problems, right? Is that who you're talking about? The guy with all the court problems that was on there? Meta the Magi? Is that who you're talking about? The guy who was talking about he had these restraining orders and this, that, and the other and couldn't have no guns? That guy. Yeah. I'm not surprised, man. Not surprised. But that's the thing. Here's the best way to beat court. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. Stay the fuck out of their arena. That's first and foremost the best way. Stay out of their arena. But if you somehow find your way in that arena for whatever reason, you better find out what the fuck you're doing and know what's actually going on. Don't assume shit. Because when you do, and you really look at him, yeah, that's him, cool. So Jesse, that's that guy he's talking about. Did you see what he just said? Meta the Magi? Jess? Oh, you're muted. Yeah, he said
No, I didn't. No, I didn't hear that.
Okay, so he said check out the Oron on this. Ben Thorpe. Remember he was on your show when I was on that open panel with you.
Okay.
He was the guy that he was talking about his having those papers served on him and he had to give up his guns and all that other shit.
Oh, yeah. The guy that came in hot, and then we ended up having a pretty good conversation with him after.
Yeah, that guy. So Meta the Magi says that he just got arrested for domestic violence against his daughter.
What?
And wasn't he living in a camper with his daughter?
I don't know. They were in a camper. I don't know if they were living in it. I know that they were in a camper, I think, when we talked to them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were both, because you saw her on screen too, I think. So it was like, wow, that's fucked up. Well, he is kind of a hothead. I mean, he did get rather pissed off and mad, Oh, I was over. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say he sure came in hot, and he was like angry with you and shit when he came in, and it was you handled it really well, and then like I said, we were able to have like a really good conversation about the stuff that's going on and stuff after he was able to calm himself down. But you kept it very cool with him, and that's much respect for that.
Well, I finally had to get to the point. I'm trying to exemplify. Yeah, I think you're right, Mr. Super Sidewinder. He is. Look at that little grin on his fucking face back there. He's pulling some kind of shit back there. I can't, that little sneaky bastard. But the thing I was trying to exemplify my point, I was like, okay, so without violence, you can't have this, right? Because at some point in time, somebody put on a special hat and a robe and shit and said, I'm your king and you got to do what I say. And I'm sure as the sun is going to come up tomorrow, that there was some motherfucker said, no, I ain't, and you ain't my king, and I ain't going to do what the fuck you tell me to do. So what does he do at that point? The only recourse he has is to go, oh, okay, I don't have power over you. Or he's going to send in his goons to make sure you realize he has power over you. So there's violence inherent in the system. And he couldn't get that fucking idea in his head. And I says, okay, so where does that come from? He says, well, we have to have leadership and all this other. And I said, okay, well, here we go. I said, dude, I am your king. From now on, you have to do as I tell you, and you have to obey because I'm your king. And he started to talk. I said, silence, peasant. Stop talking. I am your king. Recognize my authority. And, I had to do that to try to exemplify to him that, what's going to be my next recourse is to either accept that you're not going to do what I tell you or to exact violence on you to get you to do what I tell you. I mean, it's Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't know how people don't realize that, how they can, I don't know, maybe I've always questioned any authority that somebody claims to have. I'm like, well, where'd that come from? I didn't vote for you. Fuck off.
But it's fascinating how people that, align with that type of authority are violent in nature.
Yes. Well, especially when see, that's one of my favorite statements I say is I'm not questioning your authority. I'm denying its existence. I mean, where the fuck did you get off thinking you have authority? I don't accept that. And all contracts have to be voluntary, right? So if you're saying you have authority and I don't accept that, you have to give me something better than that to just, oh, I am an authority on you. Fuck you. I don't see that. And the only recourse they have at that point is violence. That's the only thing they can ever do. Make you sick to your stomach sometimes.
And most of those people that are violent are a bunch of fucking cowards. They would never face anybody,
No.
like that was, equal or greater than to them. They always pick on the weak.
Every time. Every time. And that's what I see that these guys, they try to talk to them with this condescending fucking attitude. Like there's some kind of an authoritative academic. That's what I see with these fucking these flat earth haters. They try to come forth as some kind of a academic authority. And it's like, motherfucker, the shit you're saying isn't even true. So how can you be an academic? I can show you right off. I mean, like last night, I think, wasn't it last night, guys, that we totally showed how Wikipedia is full of fucking shit? Wikipedia claimed, I went in and I said, what causes the air pressure on the earth? And this thing said in Wikipedia that the air pressure on the earth is caused by the weight of the air due to gravity. And I'm like, fuck that. Air don't have weight, man. What are you talking about? I mean, that's just dumb. You feel air pushing down on you? I mean, when I let out the smoke from this cigarette, is it going to go down to the ground? No, it's not. It's going to go all around the fucking room. It's going to go all directions till it finally dissipates out. So it doesn't ever go down. So what the
Yeah, mostly goes up.
yeah, or just stays ambient. It's probably going to go up because my breath is going to be warmer than the ambient air that I'm in. So yeah, the chances that it's going to go up is probably, well, definite at first, but it's going to soon succumb to this little game that we play on Earth that you can't win, you can't lose, you can't even break even. It's called entropy. Okay. That's just the nature of things. Really, it is the nature of things. And so that whole idea that air's got a downward acceleration is retarded. Where can you demonstrate that? Oh, you have to contain a volume of air in order to weigh it. Well, here's some interesting shit. You put an object in a vacuum chamber, you remove the weight of the air because you're taking the air out, right? And the object in there gets heavier. So how the fuck did I make something heavier when I took mass out of the equation? I took mass out of there. The thing should have got lighter. It didn't. So there is no downward acceleration of air. That's the most retarded thing I've ever heard, man. These people don't understand what temperature does to gases. They don't understand Dalton's law. They always want to talk about their pressure gradient, but then they don't want to talk about Dalton's law. They don't want to talk about temperature differentials. They don't want to talk about the fact that all of the gases on the earth are produced right the fuck here on the earth. So there's going to be a higher concentration of those gases right here. It's constantly happening all the time. It's not just a stagnant, fucking static system. This thing is dynamic. It's constantly working. It's succumbing to pressure differentials and due to temperature going up and going down continuously throughout the day and the night in different areas. All these different temperatures mixing together, causing equalization in the form of weather. Come on, people. And then, yeah, I always want to talk about fucking Cavendish. Cavendish didn't even do the goddamn experiment. I mean, it's a joke. Cavendish is a joke. It's just a demonstration of torsion dynamics. It was not a fucking experiment, and there was absolutely nothing scientific about it whatsoever, especially in some of these enclosed apparatus that we see, because now we have to take into account the temperature differential from one side to the other, and the little tunnel where the fucking torsion thing is at is going to move out of the way because of a thing called Bernoulli's principle that causes one temperature and another temperature to try to equalize through a current that's going to go through the passage between the two differentials. I mean, duh, not gravity. Dumb shit that they just say, and they say that's science. They never ruled out any of this fucking shit because they don't want you to bring it up. I'm sorry, did I go too long?
I was just wondering if I told you my Wikipedia story.
No, go ahead.
So I was doing these readings on all the cell towers, then about with this guy that was part of this political party, and in Canada, and we were going around to all the places, showing meter readings of how it's above, above limits that we should have, and while I was doing this, doing lives, kind of exposing how bad these towers are for these, frequencies, the election came up for Canada, and he asked me if I wanted to run, for the party for him, with his party or whatever. And, I said, okay, sure, why not? I'll put my hat in the ring. I know that it's controlled. I know the voting is rigged, all that kind of shit. But I thought, put up or shut up. So I went in and ran, got all the signatures, and his website had a lot of Islamic extremism in Canada that they would target. And so Wikipedia posted, and all the stuff on the 5G towers and all that. So Wikipedia labeled his political party, the one now my political party that I was running for, as racist, Islamophobic, conspiracy theorists, and all this kind of stuff. So I went and I revamped the whole entire website. I'm like, we're in Canada. We don't worry about Islamic, terrorism, extremism here in Canada. We don't have any terrorism, bombings, and blowing up and shit. We don't need any of this part of the political party. So I revamped it because I know web design. I revamped his whole website, and I revamped his website. Then I went to Wikipedia and I changed it all, being a part of that, through his account, through Wikipedia, changed it all to take out all of the, the racism, the conspiracy theorists, and just kind of, put it. And then an hour later, it was changed all back. And I did it again under his account to change it, to correct everything. An hour later, it was all the way back to wanting to paint this political party as this religious extremism, racist party and stuff. So that's one thing I had to battle with, people calling, well, you guys are racists and stuff. And I'm like, how much friends I have in every single color, race, color, religion. And then I still try to explain that. So it's an uphill battle, but, Wikipedia, they change it to however they want on their narrative, not what's actual, factual, and truth. It's all about their narrative.
You show me somebody that screams racist and racism all the time, and I'll show you a Marxist, right? What you got,
Right.
Joel?
Oh yeah, so on the Wikipedia, now that I've learned how to work on wikis, yeah, they basically, first of all, I've done the same thing. I've gone to Wikipedia and I've edited the description of horizon, because they added the horizon to have a curve in it. Just in 2019, I think Jaron found it. So while he was doing his talk about it, I went on there and I started editing, and I changed it to say a horizontal line instead of a curve. But instantly they just flip it back. So somebody else did the same thing, and then they just flip it back. So what they do is, whenever you build a page, it gets a watch. You can have it set to be watched, and the person who owns the page or something like that will get notified when it's changed. And if they don't like your change, they'll go into a revision history, and they'll just click the revision before yours, and they'll just hit restore, and just bam, wipe out everything you did. And if they really get pissed off at you, they can then block you by your IP address. So it's pretty cool stuff they can do. Because the True Earth
Yeah.
Wiki can do all that too.
Yeah, I experienced that firsthand. I couldn't believe it. And no, not even an hour later, I went there. I don't know how long it was, but an hour later, it was changed back from all of my edits.
Yep, just instantly. Even if it took you hours to do it, it don't matter. They can just turn it back in 1 second. It's just a matter of how long it takes the guy to get off of his mama's basement up to his computer, and then click on revert.
A lot of those edits on Wikipedia and shit and articles that go in there come out of a little place called Tel Aviv. Just so you know. They have like a whole army of these fucking guys. I'm not shitting you. They have whole armies of these fucking guys.
Yeah. The misinformation warriors.
Yes. 100%, man. 100%.
My way, not your way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's these guys are, this is some crazy shit. The way these guys even operate. And then they want to call it science. It's like, this is like when I brought this up with Brenda on here. That was, wow, that was really something. I was looking for this right here and I didn't know where I had put it. Now I've dug it out. But now I want you, this right here. It's easy to find the distance to the sun, right? Now, if I'm not mistaken, Pythagoras was way long before Copernicus, right? Okay. And they're all the time wanting to push that Pythagorean theory to figure out the distance of the sun and everything. Am I correct? All right. So here they are. The first guy was 3 million miles. That's Copernicus. Then Tycho Brahe comes and adds 10 million miles to it. Kepler says, yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. Newton comes along and says, no, 28. And then he changed it again to 54. Almost doubled it. What the fuck? Look at this thing. What was it getting further away and growing in size or something? And then we have Martin here in 1754. He comes up with 81, 82 million miles. What's a million or two? What's the difference, right? Well, it's just a million or two, right? A million. You know how much that is? They had this guy in 1869, Inc. He did 95 million. Okay, that's 0.274. He's getting pretty precise there. Right now, we're coming we're more than halfway through the 18th century now. And we come on up and this guy Meyer says, no, it's 104 million miles. Right. And then this guy, R. Ball, coincidence? Huh? Coincidence in the name, R. Ball. He comes up with 92 or 93 million miles. So we've had like 100 million miles difference or more in that period of time of something that's so easy to calculate that even my child could do it. You know, they always say that condescending fucking shit. And, you know, you want to tell me why that's changed so drastically? If you had an accountant that made that bad of fucking errors and shit, would you keep him?
Yeah.
Fuck
our ball, by the way, is M Ball's grandpa. But you know, that doesn't faze them. You show that to Brenda and it won't even bother them at all.
Oh my
Because
God.
they'll just say that, you know, over time they've improved their techniques and improved technology and their accuracy in measuring devices and methods.
Well, that's just it. It's not measured. This is the thing they get with you too. You guys, a lot of us get caught up in this. There's two different things going on here. There's measured, and then there's calculated.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Measurements are physically done. Calculations are done based on observations. Right.
Well,
so
I think they do a little bit of a scrambled both. They measure from their observations against their guesses, if you will. So if you can say that, well, the sun just happens to be, I'd have to look it up on my wiki here actually, but they'll tell you how big around it is, the diameter.
I think it's 873,000 miles in diameter. I'm getting a lot of noise on your mic there, Joel.
Sorry,
what is that?
I don't know.
I think it's 800.
I'm muted, so it wasn't me.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know.
I think it's 873,000 miles, if I'm not mistaken. It isn't really, but that's their nonsense number. And how the fuck would they know that? It's just
864,938 mile diameter. But yeah, then they'll say it must be this far away based on that diameter, So they make up one, then they can measure the other, which is bullshit. But yeah, I'll hop off here. It's
all
been,
right.
been fun. Thank you for showing that page off. I definitely ask you guys to definitely, if you want to get involved, let me know. You can edit that wiki, help out the cause. That'd be awesome. Otherwise, use it, spread the word. And thank you for your time, Sav.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Joel. It's always a pleasure to have you on here. And we'll see you the next time. Somebody here made a comment and said you said that was M Ball's grandfather. I haven't seen M Ball in a little bit.
I haven't either. In fact, I tried to ask his crack daddy, Sean Hawkins.
Mhm.
He doesn't respond to me. He just likes to give me comments.
Mhm.
Two things I want to know from Sean Hawkins is, one, does yelling at your audience help you get more donations? And two, is M Ball, your little buddy, basically. So, what relation is M Ball to you? Is it, a boy toy or what? Anyway, that's about it.
And
Yeah, I
no
don't know.
longer on the ball. If you want to, share your information on our show, I just put my email address in the back, and you can definitely reach more people through our platform if you're interested.
Okay, yeah. So you are the missing link. Is that
Yeah, on YouTube it's the Missing Link Live. But we're on, we go live on 6 platforms and then upload to 3 more, and the Dollar Vigilante TV picked up our show as well. So we reach quite a few people.
Okay, so I should just email you and say hey, and
Yeah, just say, hey, I'd like to get on your show. And we're booked about 3 months in advance. We're booking in June right now. But if you'd like to get on a date, then just give me an email.
all right, well, that'd be awesome. I'm a super cheap date, so I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much. Hey, you guys take care. Much love.
All right, Chabella. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm gonna show a little thing here if I can find it. I think it's worth showing it again. Our friend Stinky Cash. I want to show this video that he put out on Perspective that I think is pretty good. I want y'all to check it out. It's got his dog Cash in it, and I gotta make sure where I can find it at. Let's see. Let's see, is it on here? No. What if I do this? No. All right. Well, I'll have to do it from online. That's not a problem. I thought I downloaded it, but I didn't. So what I will do is go over here to, where am I at? Okay, so I don't need this open anymore. I can go make this be here. I can go up here and go. Hang on one second, guys. Be right back. Just talk to the people for a minute.
Talk to the people. I was actually going to say, when you were doing those measurements, I was wondering if they used a laser pointer to collect their measurements for them, because that's pretty wild how they know. And the other thing is about trying to say, well, that's 200 billion years old. How do they know that? That's so bizarre how they think that they can know how far back things go, when so many different factors are involved. And they can't tell you why a baby suddenly dies in the crib, but they know exactly why, or what happened 200 million years ago. So I find that very, very bizarre.
Well, it's they don't know. They just say they know. Nobody knows that. And it's based on some kind of crackpot theory that they do and a bunch of math, and people are impressed and go, "Ooh, wow, look, this guy made a bunch of X's and squiggles and shit on a board and said some shit that I didn't understand. He must be really smart." Listen, these people are the worst. These people are the worst. I gotta find, here it is. All right. I'm golden.
The more fancier that they can make their bullshit look, it seems like it's more pushed into, the mainstream.
Yes. So this is a video by Stinky Cash, and I'm going to play part of it at least. It's really good on perspective, and this is stuff people have to understand, man.
So hey guys, Stinky Cash here. In today's video, we're going to talk about perspective and horizons, and I'm going to try to explain to the best of my ability why we see things like the sunset and why we see the bottoms of buildings being obscured by the horizon. So the first thing I would want to ask is, if we live on a flat plane, would there even be a horizon? And the answer to this question is absolutely yes. Of course there would be a horizon. So many of the so-called debunkers of the flat earth theory, including the guy in that video, the top 10 ways we know the earth is round, they say that on a flat plane, there would be no horizon and that you would be able to see infinitely.
The simple fact is, if the earth were flat, there wouldn't be a horizon beyond which things could disappear. So from across Lake Michigan, you'd be able to see all of Chicago, as well as the Rocky Mountains.
But this is silly nonsense. A simple Google search should be able to clear this up beyond a shadow of a doubt. So for all you non-believers out there who say there would not be a horizon on a flat plane, let's go to this website called askamathematician.com and see what they have to say. Question: if the earth was flat, would there be a horizon? If so, what would it look like? If the earth was flat and had infinite area, would that change the answer? Answered by a physicist. There'd definitely still be a horizon if the earth were flat. Let's repeat that. There'd definitely still be a horizon if the earth were flat. It would be in almost exactly the same place and look essentially identical. While the earth isn't flat, adherents to that theory are correct in that it's nearly so. And if you're standing on the surface of a round something the size of the earth, it's difficult to tell the difference. In fact, mathematically, you can make the argument that a flat earth acts the same as an infinitely big earth. So basically what they're saying is the horizon on an infinite flat plane would work the exact same way as it does on a ball with the radius of 3,959 miles. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It works the exact same way. So not only do we know that there would be a horizon on a flat plane, but we know the formulas to calculate the distance to the horizon on both a flat plane and a round ball. And what's interesting about these two formulas, if you plug in your height above the ground, you're going to get about the exact same distance to the horizon using both formulas. That's correct. The distance to the horizon on an infinite flat plane computes the exact same distance to the horizon on a ball with a radius of 3,960 miles. It's almost exactly the same distance to the horizon to a T. This leads me to believe that the size they claim the Earth is was reverse engineered to line up perfectly with the perspective optics of an infinite flat plane. This way, you won't be able to tell the difference. So let's begin by looking at this perspective diagram. As you can see, all these horizontal parallel lines all converge at the vanishing point on the horizon as they get further away from the observer. So the lines that are below us appear to go up in the frame as they get further away, and the lines that are above us appear to go down in the frame as they get.
So when you get to the point of that red arrow, you see no more surface of the ground. You are now looking across the surface. Up until that point, you are looking down at the surface. Once you get to that where that red arrow's at, then you're looking at the flat surface. It's right there, okay? But your field of view above is not obstructed. So your field of view is literally like an arch instead of conical. So your field of view gets cut off at this middle line that's going across in the very middle. If that makes sense.
Yeah, man. And sounds like you'd be a good interview on the missing link as well.
Who, me?
No, you were on, but I'd like to bring you on again. We might do a panel tomorrow, but this person who you've played in the video.
Oh yeah, Stinky Cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the chat. I think he was earlier.
I'm not sure if you have contact with them, but pass them my email.
I will. I'll do that. 100%. Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Similar to what it would look like if you were looking down a long hallway. When you look at this picture of a hallway, we know that both the walls are parallel with one another. And we know that the floor and the ceiling are also parallel with each other. But our eyes do not see them that way. Our eyes converge them all at the horizon. So this is a first-person perspective. Okay, you are the observer in this picture. But let's take a look at what this would look like from a side angle. All the horizontal lines that are visually parallel, they all visually intersect at the horizon. Okay, so it forms a right triangle here, with the horizontal line being at eye level, and the hypotenuse is the ground. It appears to go up to the vanishing point, to the horizon, which is right here. So we know that all these horizontal lines converge at the horizon, and they will radiate out of the horizon. All these radiating lines are actually parallel, but our eyes don't see them that way. So a lot of these flat earth debunkers, they make side view illustrations that show these horizontal lines parallel, like this, when they should be making their illustrations like this. The higher up the horizontal parallel line, the steeper the angle at which it converges at the horizon. Okay, so notice how we have a red solid line as the ground. You can't.
And I've seen that. I've seen jets like with their contrail and shit. You see them from where they've been going over, and they look like they're going straight down. When you're looking at it from a distance, you're like, oh my God, that thing must have been going straight down into the ground. But you know better, you know. I saw that in California a lot because you can really see a long ways out there.
You can't see through the ground. The ground is a true limit. So these radiating lines here, they stop at the ground. But in an upwards direction, all these horizontal parallel lines radiating out of the horizon, they continue to go. There's no limit in an upward direction. That's why I've continued these lines. So the higher up the parallel horizontal line, the steeper it converges at the horizon, at the vanishing point.
So do you see it more of a trend where people are leaving their jobs, those traditional 9 to 5 hours, and doing their own thing?
No, it's definitely bigger than that.
Now, also, a lot of flat earth debunkers, they try to say the sun would never set on a flat earth, and they create side view illustrations like this. And they say, look, this is the angle at which the observer would see the sun, and at no point will the sun ever fall below the ground. And they say the same things for objects on the ground that are moving further away. They say the boat will never vanish beyond the horizon. But this type of side view illustration is completely wrong. You need to converge your ceiling with your floor at eye level. So it wouldn't look like this. These horizontal lines wouldn't look like this, and you wouldn't be viewing the sun and the objects on the ground like this. What actually happens is it all converges at the horizon. So this is a much more accurate and factual side view illustration. And when Cash is looking at the sun, this is the angle in which he looks at the sun. And when he's looking at objects get further away from the ground, this is the angle in which he would look to see those objects on the ground. Okay, so most flat earth debunkers get this completely wrong. Now we know all the horizontal lines converge at the horizon, including the ground. Now I've continued the ground in this illustration so that I can make a point. Because if these lines are all converging after the horizon, let's pretend like they diverge, right? Theoretically. So I've continued the ground. Now, if there was a boat sailing away from Cash, When it's closer, he's going to be looking slightly down to see it. And as it gets further away, he needs to look a little further up and a little further up and then a little further up. When the boat gets the same distance away from the observer as the distance to the horizon is, Cash will be looking 0 degrees, completely horizontal and parallel with the ground. He'll be looking straight ahead. Now, what if the boat gets a further distance away from the observer than the distance to the horizon? What if the boat got to here? Well, now Cash would have to look in an upwards direction to see something that we know is below him. It's not possible. It doesn't work. Now, you can only see the face of the ground.
Man, I did that all with no sound. Jesus Christ. Okay, so as I was saying, I'm going to do it again. I want you to imagine.
Most of it had sound. It was just at the end that I couldn't hear it.
Okay, so right here at this line that Cash is looking. So imagine that just going straight. Okay. And that's what the horizon is going to do right there, because you're looking right there. It's flat. It's just flat. So if this ship continues along this line right here, from your angle of view is being obstructed by this flat ground. Okay. And it's going to appear to disappear. Of course, it doesn't really disappear. It just goes further away and gets smaller. And it's going to look like it's disappearing due to your field of view blocking the bottom of the thing more and more as it goes. So the obstruction is going to come from the bottom out. If there were nothing there at all, you would see the ship go to just a small point. But because of your angular resolution, it starts to disappear into the horizon because of its size, right? And you just see it get smaller and it goes from the bottom up. And that's merely because your field of view is becoming this narrowing tunnel. If you can imagine like a tunnel that you go through under a mountain, right? It's arched up here, but it's flat here. Okay, so the whole thing is really a circle, but you got the bottom half of the circles cut off. So you don't get to see the bottom half of the circle. And so everything disappears in the distance from the bottom up. Your field of view is being obstructed by the ground, by the level plane. You're seeing an around type of vision, like your field of view is around you, and you're cutting off half of it with the ground when you're looking straight ahead. It's that simple. Does that make sense, Jess?
It does. I just got back, so I'm just kind of moving stuff from the car into the house, and so I'm half kind of paying attention. But yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just your field of view, because we all know that as something gets further away, we see it disappear, as the Globers would say, over the horizon. But as soon as we increase in altitude, that of course gives us a wider field of view, and we can see the object once again, bottom and all. And if we go a little higher, we're going to see more horizon beyond that. So the physical horizon starts, according to the curve calculator, I don't give a fuck what Craig says, according to the curvature calculator and the math that accompanies a globe the size that we're told, almost 25,000 miles in circumference, shows that the apparent horizon, or they say physical horizon, is going to be at about 2.9 miles from the observer, and that's the 6-foot observer height. Okay. Is that physical curve? It works out for the formula for the curvature of the Earth. That's fine. But it also happens to be the limit of your angular resolution as well. Isn't that fucking, or in your field of view according for our perspective. So it just happens to be an identical same thing. Isn't that coincidental? So it's pretty crazy that we get in there and we don't see any curve, but because we can see curvature beyond what you claim would be the physical horizon. So where is the physical horizon that you claim for this ball? We keep extending it out and out and out and out and out. And your only thing is refraction. No, I call bullshit on refraction. I'm sorry, I don't have to buy all that shit, you know?
Plus, if the landmass was much bigger than they're telling us, and the sun moves so far away from the land above us, and it's moving like in those different places, why is someplace sunny? And because the landmass is huge, and some places dark, because it's just moving away far enough that, you know, it's going to look like it's disappearing. And again, it's going to get dark because it's no longer, you know, putting light on that landmass area. It just makes sense to me, like that. That definitely, it's not crazy to think that.
No, I mean it's real simple. You can demonstrate that with a small light in an area rug. You know, that how that light, you don't light up the entire rug. You don't light up the entire room. You got all the lights are off and you got like this flashlight in your hand. Or even, you know, you're only going to have that light in that certain area and it's only going to be able to see. The thing is about that with the way the sun actually goes, we don't even know what the fuck it is. I mean, I think that's pretty crazy to begin with, you know, but this is the trick, and I think Stinky Cash pointed it out really well. And the trick is they're trying to use that two-dimensional Euclidean geometry to describe three-dimensional perspective, right? And it does, like I said, if you get up higher in altitude, you're gonna increase your field of view. You're gonna bring the object back in. You're gonna be able to see it until it gets to a point where it's so small. And of course, if you notice, even if you zoom in, it's going to be real hazy looking, and you're going to be wavy looking. Why is that? That's because of all the different temperature differentials and shit in the air. You magnify that as well. You're magnifying everything. So that's why, oh, look at there, you can't even see that. You'd think that there's huge ocean waves, but there's not. The boat's not really moving that much. You're looking at waves that you've zoomed in on that are closer to you. They're going to appear huge and swelling big time and obscuring the other boat, but the boat isn't really rocking like that because the waves aren't really that high. It is in comparison to the boat. It's just like when they used to make those old prehistoric movies back in the 50s and shit. They'd take an iguana and have it, on a scale model smashing around, and they'd have people way off in the distance in reality, but with this lizard in the foreground, and it would look like this thing was attacking them. I mean, I did some trick photos in grade school for a photography contest. I had this plastic dinosaur attacking my friend, and that little dinosaur was only about that big. I had him go stand way off, and I set it up with perspective so that it looked like that thing was attacking him. It was a pretty good photo. Anyway, let me get back to this thing. Did I kind of go off topic? I think I did. I'm really high tonight.
Up until your horizon. You can't see the face of the ground past the horizon. Okay? Cash can't see the ground from here to here, but he can see things that are above the ground for a little bit past the horizon. That's another function. The higher an object is above the ground, the further you can see it past the horizon. But you can't see the ground past the horizon. So if the boat was a little bit past the horizon, but had about 10, 20 feet of height on these sails, this is what Cash would see. Now, if the boat got even further away, Cash would have to look at an even greater upwards angle to see something that is below him. And at this point, that ship's not even possible to see. This is what Cash would see. Nothing. It's past the horizon. The horizon is a set distance away. Now, the same thing happens with the sun. Let's pretend like this top parallel horizontal line is the path of the sun. Cash is going to be looking this way. Then he's going to look a little further down, and then a little further down. Now, when the sun is at the horizon right here, this is what Cash is going to see. And if the sun gets even further past the horizon, see how he has to look down to see something that we know is up? And he's being forced to look through this solid red line, which represents the ground, which is not transparent. Cash can't see through the ground. It doesn't work. This is what Cash would see. The sun will have set. This is what Cash sees as the sun sets. Now, many people say the sun should diminish in size and vanish into a tiny dot as it gets further away. But that is not how perspective works, okay? Because we know horizontal parallel lines converge at the horizon.
Also, with that animation, that thing would actually be raising in altitude in order to remain that height off the horizon, right? Because your perspective would have it going down. Think about it.
For them to be correct, Cash's eyes would have to be at the same altitude as the sun. If this were the case, then yes, Cash would probably see the sun diminish in size into a tiny little dot until it disappeared. But obviously, we are well below the sun, so we see it go in a downward direction.
This is not just a deck of cards. This is a collection of 54 beautiful...
Now, this video is a time lapse of the sun setting from an airplane. Being in the airplane at over 30,000 feet, this pushes our horizon back extremely far, allowing us to see a greater distance. From this altitude, it becomes more apparent that the sun does diminish in size as it gets further away until it hits the horizon, at which point it completely vanishes. This is exactly what we should expect to see. There's no reason we should expect to see the sun continue to diminish in size until it vanishes into a tiny dot. That is not how perspective works. So why do we see the bottoms of the buildings obscured by the horizon in this picture? Well, it's the same reason why we see boats vanish, and it's the same reason why we see a sunset. We know that the distance to the horizon is an actual set distance. So let's say the distance to this horizon is 3.1 miles. Now let's also say the distance to this island with the city skyline is also exactly 3.1 miles away. Well, if this were the case, because we could see the face of the ground all the way to the horizon, we'll be able to see the beginning of the shoreline of this island. But if the horizon is 3.1 miles away, what if the island was 4 miles away? Well, what's going to happen is it's going to appear to be a little smaller, but it's also going to start bottoming out because you can only see the face of the ground up until your horizon. You can't see the ground past your horizon. So now let's say the island was 4.5 miles away. What would happen? Well, it would continue to look smaller, but it would also bottom out. And as the island was further away from you, it would bottom out until all you could see are the tops of the buildings, and eventually you won't be able to see anything. Now, if you were to zoom in on a horizon, you're not going to be able to see the ground any further past your horizon. All you're going to do is magnify the things that you could already see to make them appear bigger and clearer. So I'll repeat, zooming in with a camera or zooming in with binoculars or a telescope does not allow you to see further in a horizontal parallel direction with the ground. All you'll be doing is zooming in on your already existing horizon, making things bigger and making things clearer. It does not allow you to see further. Now, this kind of obstruction would happen on a ball and a flat plane, but there would be one big difference. On a ball, the further away the observer was, the more these buildings would appear to be leaning over. because your local location on Earth is always on top of the ball. You always feel upright. So if the observer was, say, 50 miles away from these buildings, the buildings are going to have a slight tilt to them. They're not going to appear vertical and parallel. That's the big difference between perspective on a ball and perspective on a plane. We never see these buildings tilting over. We never see a boat tilt over. We just see them bottom out, but they remain completely vertical. The only other real difference between perspective on a ball and perspective on a plane is that on a ball, the higher up you go, the further down you would have to look to see your horizon. The horizon would fall, or it would appear to fall, as you went up. On an infinite flat plane, however, the horizon is always going to remain at your eye level. And in reality, we know that the horizon always remains at eye level. So reality matches up with the perspective optics of a flat plane, and it does not match up with the perspective optics of a round ball. So as you can see, these objects in the distance aren't leaned over, they're not slanted, they're just obscured by the horizon because they're a further distance away than the horizon is, so they appear to bottom out. They're not leaning over. Okay, so as we zoom out, guess what? We have the same horizon. Zooming in didn't allow us to see further. All it did was magnify things and make them clearer to see. Things we could technically see with our human eye if our eyes were good enough to see that far. Learning perspective really is the most important thing to realize you live on a flat plane. So many of my commenters and so many of my globe earth defenders, they don't understand perspective. They all think they do, but they don't. They understand size perspective, that objects appear to get smaller as they get further away, but they don't understand horizons at all. So many of my commenters actually say that there would not be a horizon on a flat plane. Once you say that, the argument is over. They don't teach you perspective in schools. The only people that learn perspective are artists and like architects. They don't teach this to the common person. Why do you think that is? They don't want you to understand how your senses work. They want to keep you as dumbed down and as uninformed as humanly possible. This makes it easier to control you. They want you to deny your own senses, deny all common sense, and then put your faith in them. Trust them. Trust the experts. They know better. They're smarter than you. You're dumb. They're smart. Trust them. The Matrix relies on this type of thinking. They don't want people to be able to critically think for themselves. So that's the end of my video. I hope you learned something. I hope you changed your perspective on the flat earth subject. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And stay tuned for some more flat earth videos. But in the meantime, this is Stinky Cash saying, keep it flat.
Hey, it's Danielle with 4 Patriots.
Cool, Danielle. Thank you.
Stinky Cash, what a great name.
Yeah. I texted him and I asked him, I told him that you wanted to interview him. And I'm waiting to see if he answers. I don't know. He was up here in our chat a little bit ago. But I don't know. He says, I just posted that link, something I went and searched for. I wasn't paying attention to the chat and I didn't see it in there. It was a thing I was looking for earlier, but hey. I'll find out for you. Might not be for tomorrow or something, or maybe I will.
There's no rush, man. Like I said, we're booked 3 months in advance. So if it happens, it happens. If he says yes, says yes. You know,
Right.
just whenever's cool, just give him my email address if he's interested.
So kind of crazy about that guy getting arrested for that shit, for the domestic violence with the daughter and shit, man. That was pretty crazy.
And the crazier even part of it, you know how hard Mr. Pie was going in on him on that kind of like weird stuff about him and that, right? And so, then it comes to fruition. It's just totally weird.
You know, I wasn't trying to be mean to Mr. Pie or nothing, but man, let me tell you something. That dude, he's come on my show too before drunk like that. And he just like don't have no fucking filter. You know, it's like, I'm going to say in one sentence every fucking word you're not supposed to say on YouTube. And there he goes. Boom. And I'm like, oh my God, did he really just do that? Holy shit. You know, So I don't know. He needs to get off that sauce. That's all I can say. I'm serious, man.
Well, I don't know about the sauce. I never heard about that, but I know he comes a lot after he's doing mushrooms on there. So he's mushed out a lot when he comes onto the panels.
Dude, he was yeah, he's got to be a little careful. Not cool shit sometimes. Anyway.
But it could
Wow.
be sauce. But all I'm saying is every time, I never heard him about drinking. I just heard him that he does come on panels after he's high on mushrooms. He likes that.
I wanted to show, where's that one? This is a good one that I got. I wanted to show to people.
I love you, Angeline. She just texted me saying she said she loved me in the comments. So
I saw that.
I love her so much.
All right, look at there. That's na, 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 na. What is that song called? You know that one?
No, 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 no.
It's na 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 na. Some call it Love's Theme, or no, it's not Love's Theme. It's, damn it, I just had the name of it on my
The Love Boat.
On the no, it's not from the Love Boat. Now that was a bad fun one. Come on, man, Jesse. Julie was pretty cute. Come on.
Yeah.
Julie was pretty cute. Yeah, that was a Saturday night thing, man. That was a Time for Us is what that song's called.
Yeah, I remember Isaac the bartender. He was pretty funny.
Isaac. But you know what? It was still so funny because you could always tell when the storyline was going to involve Isaac, because they'd bring on like one black female, and it was right because they didn't want no interracial thing going on. You stay away from the white girls, Isaac, and so they brought on, they'd even name it something like Love for Isaac and bring on the black girl and shit, and then he'd have like a little romantic thing for his own storyline. Captain,
thanks for coming and hanging out on the panel and stuff. That was awesome. It's Wolf panels sure get like Wild Wild West sometimes.
Oh man, that was some heated shit at points of the time. The guy with the chemtrails, man, just could not understand what the fuck because he put his foot in his mouth. He says, yeah, that's like when I have to talk to these retarded flat earthers and shit. And I'm like, whoa.
Oh yeah, that set everything off.
He didn't know that's what I talk about and shit.
And yeah, but that set everything off, right? That just switched the vibration really fast.
Yeah, I was kind of like, what are you talking about, retarded, man? I'm on board with you that there's chemtrails and shit, but you ain't figured this out even looking at those level chemtrails appearing to go down in the sky. Like, you think they were just leaving those as they landed or something? What's going on with that? You've been watching this shit and you see how the dispersal happens, and you still want to think that gravity is holding air, but somehow those fucking things can just stay up there. How's that happening, bro?
They don't want to admit ether, I think.
Oh, they don't understand how temperature, they don't understand gas pressure, and I understand why they think that now. Because
I think it's all a cop out, so they don't admit ether. They can't, say ether's out there. It changes the whole energy game.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, the whole idea that they think, literally, Jesse, they think that the 14.7 psi is a result of downward force of air. That's what they think.
At the constant pull?
Yeah, because the air is constantly pulled down, so it must be that it's pushing because they think it's the weight of the air. It's not that. It's the pressure exerted per square inch of displacement. It's displacement that causes the pressure. It doesn't cause. It's
or God. The love vibration is really strong.
I mean, think about that. If you put your hand in water, you can definitely feel the pressure against your body of the water, right? Why is that? Because that's a higher pressure. Is that because it's pulling the water down against your hand? No, it's pushing in at all points of your body that's exposed to the displacement of it. I don't know how they could think that it's because of fucking gravity. I mean, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard, man. I'm like, how do you get a downward acceleration of air? Can you demonstrate this? See, the only way to have a volume of air in the first place is to have it in containment. And in containment, a gas is in a state of disequilibrium. So when are you going to be able to, where's this coming from? Where are you getting these ideas?
They don't want to make gods real, that energy, that love, that ether vibration. They scientifically are trying to disprove it in every way.
Well, and they also don't want to admit that it has to be a closed system for us to survive. There's 3 types of thermodynamic systems. There's open, there's closed, and there's isolated. Which one is
Terranium.
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 You mean a terrarium?
Terrarium.
Yeah, terrarium.
Yeah, terrarium. It's a closed, biodiverse, oxygenated, love vibrated,
dynamic.
Universe dynamic. Like
Yeah.
It's definitely multidimensional, and nobody can, disprove that. That's for sure.
But it's definitely for sure. I mean, we are. This is. It points to the fact, and they don't want this because then there goes their space, there goes their gas giants, there goes their burning ball of hydrogen, there goes all of that shit when you introduce the physics of gas behavior. Okay.
Energy, currency. They manipulated currency and fucked everybody's mind up about what it is.
Well, and it's also, listen, you don't underestimate the power, even though these kids are coming out dumber and shit. Don't underestimate the power of the public education or government indoctrination centers. Okay. Don't underestimate that power because it's very, very strong. It puts stupid into people and hammers it in there. It really does. To the point where if you argue with an academic source, you have to be automatically wrong. And it's like, no, I just challenged one. And that's in regards to why there's air pressure. You can't, it's not weight. You'd have to show a downward force of air. And you can't show that there is a downward force of air that causes the pressure. If that were the case, your barometers wouldn't work, right? Unless they were setting absolutely level, because you're telling me they're weighing the air. No, they're not. They're measuring the amount of pressure caused by displacement at whatever the thickness of the medium you're in. It's that simple, man. It's always wanting to equalize. Shit's always wanting to equalize. I don't know how these people don't get it. But yeah,
it's a spell. I don't think it's dumb. Dumb's another word like retard, like he used, right? Yeah. It's another divisive word.
Well, and look how many of these people are caught into this idea of gravity, right? They're so fucking, and what's been done is confusing cause and effect. You see?
Confuse and divide.
I mean, when a cause cannot be effect. Okay. So something drops to the ground, you say it's gravity. I say it's because it's denser than the air. Okay.
And it's ever moving and existing, and so you can't contain it and put a word on what this beauty thing that we're all connected to is, right?
Well, I don't know but you know what? Yeah, that was kind of like, did you get some mushrooms, right, Jess?
No, I just smoked the first spliff joint in 2 weeks now for me, so I'm very, very elevated at this point.
I got you. Yeah, yeah. Wow, Andrew sounds like a religious belief to me. What? Andrew says globe and stationary both need that downward force of acceleration. It doesn't exist. There's not really, look, displacement is the force. Okay. If you have a full tub of water and you step into that tub, that water is going to be forced out over the edge. What forced the water to move?
And to stay in.
You displaced it. What does that mean, displace? It means, well, the fact that two objects cannot occupy the same space at the same time, so one must yield. Being is that the water is fluid, the water yields, and therefore it is moved from its original place. It is displaced by the object in the medium.
Through the water
Right?
current.
No, just because you and the water can't be in the same place at the same time. The water was there, now you're there. You can't be there and the water be there at the same time. So somebody's got to give up in that game of tug of war. Who's it going to be? It's going to be the fucking water. Otherwise, if it was the other way around, it would squish your leg shut and you'd die or something. So it does. Yeah, that's how that works, right? Because you are denser, you displace the fluid medium. It's just a fact. And so therefore, by displacing it, you have forced it to change to another location. You have moved it. So it's basically displacement is the force. And it's all going to be relative to the density of the object within the medium. Simple as that.
I went to jump off this bridge. I really wanted to jump off this bridge. It's where I
Don't
grew
do it,
up.
Jess. No, it's not worth it. You got a lot to live for, bro.
You gotta hear the story, man. And I'm going to do it for excitement because I grew up by that bridge, and I every time the river gets high, then it's good opportunity to jump into the water, right? And especially when it's a warm day. And I was working at Costco, and I asked everybody there who wanted to go jump off the bridge with me, right? River's high. We're going to find a good place. We're going to jump into the water. And all throughout, I think I got off at 8:45, and people got off at 9:15, different parts of the shift time that they got off of. And I asked everybody that, to go, and nobody wanted to come with me to jump off the bridge. So when I get there, I'm thinking the best place to jump is right in the middle between the two posts, right? It should be deepest there. But yeah, no, that's kind of was the shallowest, I think, place from where I jumped off this bridge. And this was pre-cell phone day. And as I got to the place where I thought, and because it was high river, right, everything was murky, so I couldn't see the bottom anywhere. So it was a big guess where to jump into the water, right? And I got there. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to jump, right? And, just be prepared for anything. Well, that anything off this car bridge. And just before I jumped, I looked, and this lady in a minivan, it was a mom, I don't know, I'm maybe 19 or 20 at the time, is in a minivan.
Oh, no.
And we look each other in the eye. I kind of smile and jump off the bridge into the water. And as I hit the bottom, the water was this deep, right? All I remember is when I stood up, because I hit the bottom pretty hard, but as I took the hit with the ground, and even my butt hit the ground, part of it, I sprained a little bit of my ankle, but I swam to the other side. And as soon as I get to the other side and put my foot on dry ground, all I hear is ambulances and fire trucks and police cars, and they lit up the bridge, man, like a whole Christmas tree. I never seen so many rescue people after this lady said she just saw somebody jump off the bridge, and maybe thought that I was trying to hurt myself or something. And I'm doing an adrenaline junkie for fun, right? I want to jump off this bridge for ever since I was a shorty. So I was I'm jumping off the bridge, and yeah, it was good. I just sprained my ankle a little bit, But as I'm walking through, it was like like kind of a reservoir area, like a protected space,
Yeah.
and where I jumped, and I go through the bushes and then climb over somebody's fence, and go start walking down the block, and I'm squishing water. I just came like, so I have all these footsteps, but everywhere I am, I'm in the community, so they don't see me at all, right? So by the time I walk out of the community, I'm dry, and we get to the gas station, and we can hear all these like sirens still. And I go to my buddy that was working at the gas station. I said, do me a favor and call the, rescue, that they don't have to search for the guy. He just came through here and he was just doing it for fun, and you don't have to search for him and stuff. Because I didn't know what to do with the whole, like rescue was at the place for me, because I jumped off the bridge for fun.
Yeah, they would have probably ended up if you're okay. So we're going to give you a ticket and shit for.
That's why I couldn't do it myself, because
Yeah,
there was
right.
at the time it was about a $4,000 to $7,000 fine. But the amount there was, I probably would have doubled or tripled it, because I'd never seen so many. It was like on the bridge and in the area where all the people park for that park, right? Like it was just full of like maybe 17 or 18 of them, like a Christmas tree.
Holy shit. It's a good thing you didn't dive. You would have been in a wheelchair, bro. Paralyzed.
Well, yeah, no, I wouldn't dive. It can't see what's there, right? So that's definitely not the way to go.
A lot of people got hurt that way. A lot, man. I've seen it happen. People
Yeah,
think
man.
assume the water's deep enough. Man, always check. Always check. That's definitely for sure.
And at that time, I was still drinking alcohol. I went to the pizza place, had 2 tequila shooters, and I was like, "Whoa, what a trip!" Like I ordered 2 and I just drank them both. It was pretty interesting.
Wow. Well, I wanted to show this one more thing about the horizon, and then I'm probably going to cut her down here tonight. What do I got?
Yeah, man. Thanks for chatting. It was great night. May the source be with y'all. The power of this ether vibration, God, universe, every good thing that's about it that everybody's connected to is how they can't explain gravity.
Oh, I know. Well, that one right there. No, this is, we can manipulate the medium. We can modulate the medium, and we can also, by modulating the medium, then we can change the rate of acceleration. All right. So where do they always test this at? Oh, let's do it in a vacuum. Well, where do we ever live in a vacuum? Nowhere. That condition doesn't exist. And so, of course, something is always going to be denser than nothing. And so you're going to get the same results. But if I change the medium, I can slow the rate. I can modulate the medium and I can change it. I can modulate the medium to the point where I achieve equalization or buoyancy, total buoyancy. All right. So there you go. With gravity, what can we do? Nothing. We just assume. So that 9.8 meters per second squared, that's only in a vacuum. I don't know why they would ever apply it to the outside world. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, they're hiding what like this force that we're all connected to is. They don't want to explain it. They don't want to admit that God exists. This seems like where the hurdle that we're all running into.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, this one right here is appropriately, the length of it is 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Isn't that awesome? This video I've got. And this is what I've been saying for the longest time, and what everybody tries to say is that on a sphere the size that they tell us, as you go up, you would see the horizon dropping, okay? But it doesn't. It remains in the same place relative to eye level, the apparent horizon, okay? The actual horizon is beyond what you can actually see. If there is actually an actual horizon, all we see is what's an apparent horizon. And there again, based on your field of view. So this is a good demonstration of that. And I can hit my bong while it's playing. Yeah.
He feels the camera.
You're increasing the field of view. What do you think of that, man?
Yeah, really cool. Good learning tool.
That's the thing. We don't see in the way that they try to prescribe. They show us two-dimensional orthographics, and say, oh, this is why your sun would never set. And it's like, that's bullshit. That doesn't even work. Is this the one? Actually, that one's too small. Oh, that one didn't even finish loading. That sucks. I'll have to get another copy of that. Huh.
Yeah, the perception of reality, they want people to think unless not of what it truly is.
Right.
The programming tool.
It's just like you're going to see. Well, yeah, I got another video. I'm not going to show it tonight, but it goes into the orthographic geometry versus the. Hey, wait a second. There's somebody messaging me. Oh, it's Darren. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Some information about. Yeah, Tuesday. I'm going to be on Jaron at 6 p.m. Eastern. And I'm supposed to be going debate with Craig, as he says. He corrected us today on the Truth or Hour Comedy. Craig on Jaron. So that ought to be pretty fun. Be pretty good. I'm going to bring a lot of this in there. I think one of the ways to get around a lot of this is, like I've always said, taking it back to the basics, the shit, the impossibilities they floated by us before we had critical thinking skills. And we see that that's curvature, gas pressure, and this fucking gravity thing. Okay, those are the three fundamental things that they got, and I've already caught them. I mean, the article on Wikipedia saying that the air pressure is caused by the weight of the air. Kiss my ass. Air is not pushing down on you. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Show me that there's a downward acceleration of this air pushing down on you. There isn't. There is no downward force. At 14.7 psi, that's exerted equally upon every square inch of your body. That's what it means. And it's due to the displacement of the medium. It's not from the weight of it pushing down on you. That's dumb. Air doesn't fucking push down. It doesn't have weight. It has to be in a containment in order to even have a volume. And only in a volume of a gas can you get pressure. Because it's just the nature of how gases work, man. That's it. I don't know why these people have such a fucking fundamental learning problem with all of this shit, but they certainly do, man.
Creation's imprint.
Well, it's because an authoritative source. Wikipedia says, how many people say that? Look, here's what Wikipedia says. You can't, look, I just showed you can't trust Wikipedia because that's what they fucking say.
Yeah, I changed it and they changed it right back. I went less than an hour later and it was all changed. I spent all this time to make it, like proper, and they just like changed it, and they didn't have ownership of it, or well, with their platform, I guess that's their reasoning why they think they do.
Yeah. I got some shit that I got here on that I thought was kind of interesting. I'd share with people because here's even what they teach, or they try to, I guess. This is a really good demonstration of this, I thought. You see, this is how your perspective works. Now, do you see these lines, how they're coming down right here? These poles, we know that if you were to look at those from a third person perspective, somebody off to the left of those tracks, that those poles are all the same fucking size. They're not really getting smaller, but that's how our perspective works. But see here, there's nothing obstructed. Oh, I'm looking over here. I'm doing an arrow over here. So there's nothing obstructed up here other than these man-made objects and whatnot, but the sky is open. So it comes down. Here's your horizon line. Now, once you get to this point, the ground stops appearing to rise, and it's going level with what you're looking. It's just straight on, like looking across the edge of a piece of paper, if you can imagine. So you're like looking across the edge of a piece of paper. You're not going to see any more surface of the ground. We know the ground doesn't just stop there, but you don't.
That's all your perspective can see.
Right, right. So this is why, because you're seeing this as flat, this upper portion of what you're seeing is not obstructed. So like something going off this direction is going to change smaller and get smaller, and it's going to start disappearing because your cone is obstructed by this line right here, by this horizon line. So it's going to start to appear to disappear from the bottom up. Yes, it's being obstructed by the ground, but it's only due to your
perspective.
Field of, yeah, in your field of view. If you were to rise up, you'd be able to bring the whole back of the train back in within reason till it gets to a distance beyond your angular resolution.
And the mere size of this is like so hard to fathom. It has a big factor in determining.
You get that vertigo factor. You know, it's like I remember the first time as a kid that I went downtown to the big city where they had big tall buildings and shit. And I'm amongst all these big tall buildings, and I remember looking up at them all, and I got dizzy looking up at them all. I felt dizzy, and I had to like look back straight again because it was just like, wow, I'd never seen anything that tall before, you know?
Yeah, man. When I was younger, I had motion sickness a lot going on, spinning around things, and even on the bus and even on the plane, the first plane, I had to wolf my cookies in a bit into the bag that they had sitting there in the seat.
I'm going to have to put this over there too. Yeah, I got a little folder I'm getting put together for some discussions here that I've been putting together. Yeah. Let's see. That was some stuff I got from me and Ryan were looking at. There was some other shit I wanted to show y'all. And I can't seem to find it. Oh, yeah. I think that'll be another topic for another show right there. I want to look at some of the shit with Tycho Brahe and what he had. I think he might have been sort of onto something, but not quite. I mean, sort of, kind of, if that makes sense. I think he had it right, but I think he had the ground wrong. And I think he had to make the ground wrong, or it would have been the church kick his ass. You know what I'm saying?
So apparently these mercury topped balls on metal rods that are on top of buildings, they've destroyed most of them that were up, and stuff that they just built in 40 years they destroy when they're going around and destroying them all. Chicago fires, all kinds of places where they destroyed these free energy stuff, and the ones that they kept, they had to ground on each side of them with a cable on each side of. I saw pictures of the actual places that have cables that run into, and it has to be on each side apparently to ground it so it stops this mercury from spinning.
It's known. I've seen even experiments done where people take a little ampule of mercury and connect it to an antenna, and they can actually receive broadcasts from a long ways off. I don't know. It's really crazy, man. This guy's sitting out in the middle of nowhere with this little TV set, and he hooked up this fucking little mercury ampule to his antenna and shit. And the next thing you know, he's picking up fucking shit from way across the country on his TV set. Amazing, man. Yeah, they want us afraid of that shit. They really do.
Just like lead for the walls for paint. I just sure that it was a barrier for frequency, and they chose to not allow people to have something good for them.
Where is that? Oh, now I found my folder.
Or better, because that's not ideal. Earth ships are the best. Living in the earth, grounding ourselves into the earth, I think really helps.
Well, you know something? Yeah, I believe that. I believe that 100%. 100%. Hell yeah. Well, listen, I think I'm going to shut it down for the night. I think
Great
we've done
chatting, brother.
I think we've done a good job here tonight, and just wanted to keep out there and say hi to everybody and go over a few of these things. I've been on a lot. I've actually, even though this show's only been 3 hours, I've probably been on a total of about 8 hours all day. So I'm about yeah.
Gotta take care of yourself.
Shows, yeah. So that was interesting. I was talking to Craig today on Truther's Hour of Comedy. Go over and check that one out. It was pretty good. So kind of like gave me a taste of what the fuck I'm in for on Tuesday. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm going to try to be as fucking nice as possible, but that guy, he starts acting. I just can't handle when a man acts like a fucking little bitch. I can't stand that, man. It's like, dude, what the fuck, man? Quit acting like a woman, man. You know? And I don't mean that to be misogynistic or anything like that. I'm just saying, you know how women are when they argue, right? They're different than men. They got this little thing about them, and I don't know. It's very effeminate the way this guy acts, and it just pisses me off. It's like, man up, motherfucker. How's anyone supposed to depend on you for anything?
Yeah, man. Insulting to women to say that way, but
well, yeah, I didn't want to. I'm not trying to be insulting to women because they have their own strengths. I'm just saying, a man shouldn't act like how a woman does. That's it.
yeah, definitely. But
I mean,
it doesn't seem to happen that often in real person.
No, I think also too, he's young. He don't have wisdom. Yeah.
We all, but the thing is, and when people say that everybody's stupid, I can't say that everybody's stupid because years ago intelligence doubled every day. Everybody's really intelligent. It's just the spell. Some it's stronger on others. That's why I wish the source be with people, because I hope that source is stronger.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I also think that the adversary is working through NPCs and shit to try to dissuade people away.
People, for sure, man. Yeah, that vibration is not natural.
Mm-mm.
It's like you want to be kung fu fighting.
But they always want to turn it into an argument. I'm going to keep it from being an argument. I'm going to keep it from being an argument.
Always the better person can never lose when it comes to those things.
Yeah, if he starts fucking losing his shit and interrupting me, I'll just stop talking, let him do his little thing and wait. And I'll let him do his little thing, and then I'll just continue where I left off when he stops. And then if he starts up again, I'll just go ahead and go like this, let him do his thing. Go ahead, make an ass out of yourself.
You're doing good, brother. Love you, man. Have a great night. And tomorrow on the missing link is David Sereda talking about musician, like he did lots of frequency and measured the pyramids and the vibration, and he's very intelligent. He's been on the missing link a few times. So that's tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. So great chatting with you, brother. And thanks for the company during my trip.
Right on, man. Well, may the source be with you, my man.
Thank you. You too, brother. Bye, everyone.
Have a good night, man. So anyway, yeah, I want to thank everybody for showing up here tonight. Hope you got a little bit of information. We had a good time. I'm going to get off of here. And like I said, I've been on here a long time, not necessarily on this channel, but all over the place. Go over to Truther's Hour of Comedy. Check that out. We had a good time there. And we'll see you next time on Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the dislike button. I don't give a fuck. Do it either way, as long as you interact somehow, right? Thank you everybody for coming here. And don't forget, the Lord loves the working man. Don't trust Whitey, and see your doctor and get rid of him, because he'll probably fucking kill you, right? All right. So y'all have a great evening. We'll see you next time.